Fish Nerds. It's a podcast.
It is a podcast. Here it is. I don't even know. John, I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know why I'm trying. It's the Fish Nerds. I'm Clay. This is John. Hi, John. Take over. My brain,
Clay.
I'm broken. I'm a teacher, and my brain is ruined.
Well, welcome.
Ruined.
Welcome to the Fish Nerds, the show about fish, fishing, and eating fish. That's always entertaining, usually funny, and mostly true. Clay's brain is broken, but he's still powering through this evening. And I am Crappie, Hippie, your tree-hugging redneck from Eastern Kansas, a.k.a. John King, and so glad to be here.
John, we had a snow day today. And when you have a snow day, we didn't have a full day, like delayed. So you delayed start at school. Then you get to school, and all the classes are like half the length. And so you feel like you're running at full speed, but for like 2 hours less. And it just ruins you. Your whole pattern's gone.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine. That's just gotta be crazy.
I'm okay.
You're okay.
Okay.
Well, and you texted me early this morning that you're out making a little money.
Yeah, do a little snow plowing.
A little plowing, get going.
Yeah. That's nothing about a little snow. If you're a teacher and you got to plow, you get paid for having some time off, and then you get paid to plow people's driveways.
Wow, double dipper.
You know the song, right? Mr. Plow, that's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow. And then the competitor, Mr. Plow is a boozer, and I think he is a loser. That's from the Simpsons. Classic Simpsons. Yeah. All right, moving on.
I love that episode of The Simpsons.
Yep.
I love it. That one is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It is so.
Well,
but unfortunately,
it's Christmas season, John.
It's Christmas season.
It is.
This
is
our holiday
Christmas special.
It is our holiday special. We're not just talking Christmas. We talk about Festivus, Christmas Eve, Christmas, Kwanzaa. Hanukkah starts on Christmas Day this year.
Really? It's late.
Yeah, it's late. I guess it's one of those moon things. You know how it is. I don't know how it is, but the people who do know how it is tell me it is on the 25th. So we got all kinds of stuff. We're going to basically divide this show into two parts, everybody. We're going to do kind of a regular show for the first part, about an hour's worth, and then we're going to stop that and go right into some products, some gift ideas, some reviews, things like that. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up, Clay. We've got stuff from me. We've got stuff from Santa Todd. We've got stuff from you.
Oh, boy.
We've got stuff from Doc Martin, some fun, sciencey Christmas gift ideas.
Love Doc Martin.
And last but not least, our own kid correspondent, Rosie Clifton, is in the house, and she's got some exciting news to share and some products to recommend herself. So
great. Let's go.
Let's get going. Hey, I got some big news.
I'm listening.
Are you familiar with the story of Frosty the Snowman?
Yes. Frosty the Snowman was a jolly, happy soul.
That's not a bad Jimmy Durante.
Pipe and a button nose and two eyes made out of coal.
Frosty. Oh, that's well, you can tell he's community theater.
In that old top hat they found. Who sang that? Who's the guy?
Jimmy Durante.
Jimmy Durante, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Not bad, buddy. That's not bad at all. Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those people, the inexplicable vocalist with no range and all that, but everybody liked the way he sang. And
well, if you can't sing well, put gravel in your throat.
That's right. Take a wire brush and fix that thing so you got that distinctive voice.
You know what? And I think that was the key to that song. I think that made it great.
Oh, absolutely. No, his timing and everything about him as far as singing, he was very talented, but you just are like, this is a one talk vocal dude. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. I'm not throwing shade on Jimmy. God rest.
Hey, listen, a one trick pony is better than a no trick pony.
That's right, baby. That's
and
right,
a three trick pony is just showing off.
Absolutely. But anyway, I'm just kind of using that as an analogy because you know how Frosty the Snowman goes away and says he'll be back again someday.
Yes, and then goes thumpity thump thump thumpity thump.
Well, I'm about to
look at that Frosty go. Thumpity thump thump thumpity thump thump.
Can you tell this guy does theater or what, man? He can't be stopped. Once he gets going, I don't know what to do with it.
It's been that day, John.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But yeah, I am. This is gonna be my last podcast, bro.
Ever? Will I ever hear from you again?
I don't know. Well,
I think we will.
Well, I hope so. I don't know. So though, I'm not making any promises, but the Glasswater has a professional business consultant now.
Good job.
And it was a guy that saw me do some public speaking back in 2018. Anyway, we've been probably send each other a email or two, how's it going every year. But all of a sudden he came out of nowhere and said, hey, I want to offer you my services. He was the CEO of this one company, and now he's stepped down and is just doing consulting. And we had a little meeting, and he got me a project. I sent him my information deck. He read it. He said, here's what I think you ought to do. And it looks like a pretty big project. I'm going to be getting into the casting business big time. So he goes, that's your number one product. He goes, let's concentrate on that. And we're going to move forward with that. Well, and also because, I've gotten a couple of big casting accounts here over the past couple of years, and hasn't turned into a lot of repeat business, but it does prove that I can cast a heck of a lot of jig heads if I have to.
Good. Good. Well, John, I'll tell you what. I'm sad to see you go. I hope that you pop on once in a while as a special guest star. And at the very least, we stay friends.
Oh, we're going to stay friends. There's no, that kind of stuff doesn't change. That doesn't change. I just don't make commitments, and I've got to give this my fullest concentration. But
well, and people should know the podcast doesn't make anybody any money. We've been doing it since 2011 essentially for free. And so right. if ways to earn money come up, especially running a business, you got to go that direction.
Yes, I have to go that direction. I'm really bummed about it. I mean, I really am, because I love our listeners. I've met so many really cool people in terms of guests and developed a lot of relationships there. I'm often doing a project with Laura Williams from Maine Audubon Society. And my consultant said, no, you keep on that. But he goes, you can't be spending the kind of time you're doing on this fun time hobby cast, because it's not going to get you the numbers it's going to take to attract the participation you want to move your company, scale up. So
well,
it's a whole bunch of business talk.
Hope it works out, John. And if we can help you in any way, or if you want to send us a report once in a while, we'd love to share it with people.
Well, I appreciate that. And well, you know what? I am such a ham bone, and a goofball, and we have so much fun doing this that it's going to be awful hard for me to stay away completely. But first I got to gain some ground,
Sure. I got to ground gaining game.
Yeah. I got to cut my teeth. I got to make my bones. I got to do this project. And
well, a young guy like yourself, now is the time.
Now is the time.
Strike out into the world on your own.
That is absolutely true.
Well, let's make a great show tonight for people.
Let's do it. Okay, now wait a minute. I want to get going with this. We were talking the other day, and you had a great Good Samaritan story.
Yeah,
talk to me about this. Now, what happened to crazy stuff fell out of your truck?
This is a feel good story of the century, John.
It is.
So, recently I had knee surgery, as people may know, and that makes me mobility limited. And I went to the dump last Saturday. And, I loaded back in my truck and threw my junk in the recycle bins and the landfill and all that. And I happily left the dump, and I got all the way home and noticed that the tailgate of my truck was left open, and a milk crate full of stuff was missing. And the milk crate had various whatevers in it. It had a box, a couple of fishing kits in it, 2 quilts, batteries. It had lots of personal mail in it. Had some Fish Nerds hats in it, various other accoutrements, lots of just junk that was in my truck. So I retraced my entire drive. No box. Couldn't find it anywhere. And I got back here. Actually, I was recording a podcast with you. I just mentioned to you. And on my phone, I looked at Facebook for a second, and our locals, Facebook has a super local pages for your town.
Yes.
On our super local page, it said, hey, did anyone lose a box of junk out of their truck? If you did, send me a message, tell me what was in it, and you can have it back. So I messaged the dude, his name is Zach, and I said, hey, listen, I lost a black milk crate out of the back of my truck. Here's some of the stuff was in it. And he goes, yep, I got it. Anyway, I got it back with everything in it.
Fantastic.
I even tried to put gas in Zach's truck. He wouldn't take it. He just said the right thing to do always is to help each other. So here you go.
I love it.
So guess where that box is now to keep it safe?
In the back of your truck.
Same place I left it before, but now I check my tailgate.
You hang a little reminder on the rear view mirror. We got a little system with our car where we have to set mothballs on the tires and the front tire wells to keep the mice from getting in there, getting in the engine. And, so we got to throw a cloth over the steering wheel so we don't just get in and take off and crush up our mothball. So you leave that crate back there, but then put you a little reminder somewhere to shut the tailgate.
Maybe I should clean that box out once I can lift it again. I'm not supposed to pick up anything more than 8 pounds, so that's outside.
Oh yeah. No, not yeah. I think that can wait. That can wait.
It'll be fine.
All
I'll
right.
need the batteries once I start ice fishing. So
absolutely. Wow, you will need the batteries once you start ice
John,
fishing.
the
Sure.
saddest
Those
news
on your
about
little,
the saddest news about the knee surgery. I can't walk on ice until February. Something about
that's
like
what you said last show.
If I slip and fall or something, I can't get hurt. Like, what is this? It's
you'll be right back in there. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to risk it.
Nope.
And it's looking good. You know, Dave Shabel, one of our great listeners, one of our favorite guys. He's tracking that ice every day. He's up to 2 inches. He can hardly wait to get out there. So and then Joe Henry, our buddy from Lake of the Woods, are already getting workable ice up there.
Yeah, we are too.
Single digit temperatures. So maybe someone can wheel you out there and cut, guide you and take you on a trip where you don't have to do nothing but hang on your rod.
I should try that. But yeah, we had to
stay in your chair and
we should get an ice fishing wheelchair. We're good to go. We have the ice now, John.
That's
so
it.
We can do it.
Well, oh, really? Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, well, listen, listeners in the New Hampshire area, you come to Clay's rescue. We get him out there and wheel him around.
Oh yeah, but no. First, convince my
Christmas
wife.
List.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
All right, let's talk Christmas, John.
You what?
Christmas.
No, I'll be in so much trouble. I mean, listeners, forget I said that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in trouble with Kristen. What, you're doing something Crappie Hippie asked you to do, told you to do?
I thought I told you never listen
no.
to Crappie Hippie. Yeah.
Yeah. You that idiot maniac, you take his advice over mine and the doctors. Yeah, no, I don't want you in that kind of trouble, brother.
Thank you,
But
John.
Christmas list, you got one?
Mine's pretty thin this year. We're broke.
Yeah.
And we're about to pay for college.
Us too.
For Zoe. And
right.
Yeah. If I could pick one thing for Christmas this year, and money is no object, why it'd be a new sonar, John. Yeah, something with a downscope.
Oh,
yeah, those new sonars are so cool. You can see everything. I think it's called downscope. Is that what it's called?
You want a live scope? No, you want a
scope.
forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, that's what I want. Live scope. That's what I want.
Forward-facing sonar. And
they're like $3,000, John.
Yeah, but the prices come down because they used to be twice that. But now some other companies are making them, and
I don't want them that much. I don't want them $2,000 or $3,000. It's me like so for $2,000 I can get like 6 really great flashers and sonars. So that's a tough sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
if money was no object, I would take it.
But well, I like the fantasy Christmas list. I don't really have anything on my Christmas list except, of course, to complete my collection of John Gierach books. I'm still like 7 books short. So
what are you looking for?
That's where I'm at. I'm feeling a heavy sigh because I'm feeling a little misty. I'm just so glad. Another thing about the show, man, I never would have got to meet the guy. I never would have got to chat with him. Never would have got to reach out to him and start forming a relationship, however short it was, had it not been for the fish nerds.
We've got to meet people like Zeb Hogan, who wrote Chasing Giants, Emily Voigt, who wrote Dragon Behind the Glass, like some really Schiffman, Why Sharks Matter. Like so many authors have like
part of our show. Dr. Dave. Yeah, gonna miss Dr. Dave. Yeah.
We're still here for you, John.
It is. Well, like I say, and you guys can carry on, and then I'll dip in when I can. So I'll be listening. But we're going to talk about some fun stuff that will all be on my fantasy list if I had a chance. But as for practicality, hey, I already bought myself my own Christmas present. I bought myself some wool socks, some nice merino wool socks, and that's making me so smiley and happy. I don't have to burn nearly as much wood in the furnace because I got my wool socks. So
it's a simple thing.
There you go.
Simple.
All right. Now, simple things. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so you got ice on. You got
Mhm.
some ice on already. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and Vinny
so
already went
fishing
fishing.
as it gets colder. Oh, you can't hold that man back. You can't hold him back. And I bet he caught some bass too, didn't he?
Vinny does two things
No?
well. He does two things well. He grows beards and he fishes. That's it. His two skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't report
Well,
back. I know he went fishing. That's all I know.
I've noticed. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I just know his early season trips generally. I see him and his boys, and they're holding up some nice bass usually early in the season before he switches on over to getting out after those Lakers. So
Absolutely.
Go. He likes that early fishing. Hey, and you can't, but how is what do you all call that? Where they right before the ice comes in, the DNR dumps in a lot of the old brood stock and a lot of the old
I don't know if it has a name or
spawners
not.
from the brood stock.
Yeah, I don't know if it has a name or not. But
But anyway,
you're right.
you go that clear ice before it's even safe.
Yeah. So here's
Where
how
you find out where they're dropping some of these big old fish. Yeah, tell the listeners about it.
Here's how it works. So every fall, I'm talking fall, like almost Christmas, like this time of year, New Hampshire Fish and Game gets all their broodstock trout, their brook trout. And broodstock, if you don't know, are the parent fish, the fish that make all the babies in the hatchery. They're all about 4 years old. They range from 18 to 24 inches, so they're big trout. And they pick about 6 buys of water, and they throw all these trout in there. And the way you catch them is by going to fish for them when the ice is about 2 inches thick and you're fishing in about 1 foot deep of water. It's a sight fishing game. It's a ton of fun. And you just drill a hole and jig and jig and jig, and the fish come in. If the ice is clear, you'll see a school of these monsters. They're like cows. They come swimming under your feet and you just jig them right up. And they're like dogs. They chase. They're like hot pink. And John, we've caught them on your jigs.
Yes, I know. I have some great film.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing film that you sent me. I sent you that little sent you a mop jig with a pink mop jig with a hot pink hackle collar on it, and I watched you catch a hunker of a brookie on that thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, out here in Kansas, of course, we don't get good ice. We just get skim ice or just enough ice to make it dangerous to put an aluminum boat in because, well, aluminum or fiberglass, if the ice is over, I don't know, ½ inch, 3/4 inch thick, it'll scratch the hell out of your boat. It'll even punch a hole in it. So you can't just like get out there and just start ramming away and, got to go very, very slow. And you just can't really do anything. I mean, the duck hunters will go out and go super slow and get to their blind and get back, but you can't troll. You can't make yourself a fishing hole like that. It just doesn't make sense to risk your boat like that. And if it does get thick enough, it's a week, whatever. And almost nobody around here has gear. So you're on the phone. Hey, can I borrow your auger? Can I do this, do that? So what we do is we go to the dock houses. Or we go to the reservoirs where they'll let you fish the slips.
The dock houses are just so cool. John, tell people what a dock house is if they don't know.
Well, you get a marina where they have all the boat slips, and they'll build a floating house over some slips, and it'll have big holes in the floor. I mean, big, not like ice fishing. These will be the size of a small room in your house, and they're big holes. The one I go to has 3, and it because it's down at Hillsdale, which I'm always talking about. It's only 10, 15 minutes from my house. And you go in there, you pay your money, and it's anywhere from $5 to $10. I think Hillsdale's 7 or 8, something like that. But you go in, and then what they do is they sink bales of straw, they sink brush. Another little thing. I'm not real big on it because it involves plastic, but it is clever. Is that you take the lids off 5-gallon buckets and you put a hole in the center of them, and then you just string them all on a rope. You just knot rope until you have a big, like 10-foot long string of these things, and you tie those to the dock and sink them down in there. So the crappie will sit under those things and hang around those things. Anyway, you do all this stuff to attract shad, to attract minnows, and eventually all this stuff will attract crappie as well, because once algae and stuff starts growing on all these bales of hay and the lids off the buckets and the bottom of the dock house and everything, the shad come in there to feed, the crappie follow them. And you can sit in there, and some days it's tricky. It's as tricky as ice fishing, but you don't. I suppose you could take your Vexilar. I suppose you could take a flasher.
Why not?
I've never seen it.
If you're not moving.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen anybody do it, but once you find the level where they're hanging, you can really start knocking the tar out of them. I mean, there's some days there'll be hundreds of crappie under those houses. And then some of the lakes will
hang on, section of. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. So when you say shad, you're not talking American shad. You're talking
No.
gizzard, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, gizzard shad in Kansas, and then you get down further south into Oklahoma, Texas, all across the south, and you get into that threadfin shad, which,
Okay.
but with global warming, the threadfin is moving north, and they're talking about putting threadfins in up here and testing the viability of that in some of our more southern reaches, because the threadfin's great because the threadfin only gets about 3 inches long. Gizzard shad gets up to a foot long or more.
Right. Well, gizzard shad can be anadromous too. They can be sea run. So that we see up here in our rivers in Hampshire once in a while. But usually we have American shad. Yeah, and usually we have American shad up here, which are anadromous more commonly anadromous.
Okay.
Because I was thinking of a shad as a large herring, like twice the size, like a 5-pound herring. When we think American shad.
Well,
the Latin name is Sabidissima, means most delicious.
Yeah, I guess they're really good smoked, and I sure look like they're fun to catch because I know that there's some pretty, the thing about the East Coast, y'all put limits and you really get it area by area.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really work hard to preserve these shad fisheries. And you go out and like where my daughter lives in Massachusetts,
they Holyoke area, right?
Yeah, the Holyoke Dam.
Yep.
You knew where I was going.
Have you been there for the shad run?
No, I've not been around for the shad run.
God, it's one of the best things I've ever seen in my whole life. It's so good. You go out there.
Sounds super fun. I've read about it.
Is shiny with fishbacks.
Oh my!
People throwing shad darts and just pulling out their limit of 5 shads in like 10 minutes.
That is when they're in.
Mm-hmm. So good.
And then we got, the effing librarian, Jeff Dannaldson, and he messaged me the other day and he's like, catfish bite in the cold. And I said, I know that, brother. What do you want to do about it?
And a worm in the water.
Yeah. He's like, let's get some stink bait. Let's get some worms. Let's get some shad guts. Let's get something and let's get on out there and give him a try. But that got him in trouble because I put him on a story and he turned in a fantastic story about fishing for trout in the wintertime.
Let's go.
And this guy loves trout. Well, he loves fishing of any kind. He is a very good trout angler. And please give this a listen because, of course, I learned a lot and you might learn some stuff too.
It's Jeff the effing Librarian here, also known as the Flatland Fly Fisher, and it's becoming wintertime. It actually snowed here in the Kansas City area the other day. And what does a fly fisher do in the winter? Now, I live in a place where it's mostly warm water fishing, at least in my very general vicinity. And most of those warm water species tend to move out into deeper water. And they're just not as catchable on fly gear. Not to say that they aren't, but it's not ideal. You're going to be much happier with your spinning reel or your bait caster or your ice fishing setup if things freeze up for you. I mean, obviously trying to fly fish through a hole in the ice is not going to be very much fun. But around here, most of the species that I'm thinking about pursuing during the regular year are not going to be as active during the winter, the late fall, winter, early spring period, with the possible exception of white bass tend to still be a little active, especially on really windy days. They tend to move up against like banks and whatever. So they'd be available for fly fishing there. But most of the time, what we're looking at around here for fly fishing is we're going to go south, right? And we're going to go into the Missouri and Arkansas Ozarks. And here we do have year-round cold water. And in fact, we actually have an advantage over some other places in that all of our fisheries, our trout fisheries, are either tailwaters or they're spring-fed. And the take-home of that is that the water temperature doesn't change much. So the same fishing techniques that you use during the regular season or during the summer, spring, summer, fall, are going to work exactly the same. And these usually don't freeze up either because of the temperature. So that's not a concern. So in the tailwaters, it's always the same temperature and it tends to be fairly cold, in the 40s. And those fish are going to behave almost exactly the same as they do year round. There's actually a little added bonus is that on some of the large reservoirs on the White River system where you have these tailwaters, you get shad kills when it's really cold. And then those dead shad end up coming through the dams and out for the fish. And when that happens, lots of big trout line up for the chow line of absolutely just free calories of dead shad coming through these things. And so any like white streamer or jig is going to catch lots and lots of trout, especially some big brown trout will move up in on this stuff. But most of the time what you're looking at is fishing stuff like scuds and midge patterns. You will get midge hatches sometimes during the day, especially if it warms up a little bit, or cloudy, kind of warm winter days seem to be good days for midge hatches. And so you're going to be fishing very, very small midge patterns. You're going to be fishing midge patterns, period. You know, zebra midge, there's the ruby midge, and mostly fairly small, size 16 or smaller. You'll also have some luck with bait fish patterns. There's bait fish in these rivers year round. And, you know, scuds are another option. But those tailwaters, that's kind of the game, is bait fish, dead shad, midges, scuds, those sort of things like that. Then in our spring-fed systems, a little different. The water's actually a little warmer than the tailwaters. So it's usually in the 50s-ish, like 55 degrees. And so all these rivers in the Ozarks and of Missouri and Kansas, temperature stays pretty constant. Now, the further you get from a spring, it will tend to get a little colder, but mostly these things stay pretty constant year round. And so here again, it's going to be, most of the fishing is going to be the same as it is during the main part of the year. Again, you're not going to see any hatches of anything like mayflies or caddisflies or anything like that. Maybe some blue wing olives, but this just doesn't happen that much. But otherwise, it's the same fishing. So nymphing is going to be a big game here. Bait fish patterns, crayfish patterns are good in the Missouri Ozarks and the Arkansas Ozarks. And then again, you'll get these midges, scuds. Those just happen to always seem to be the things that are always pretty high probability in these systems. I like to swing a wet fly in this time of year, so I'm swinging small soft hackles and stuff like that, or very small streamers, just very, like, again, size 8 to 12 olive woolly booger or similar. The pine squirrel leech has actually replaced the olive woolly booger in my heart. I hate to tell you, everyone, that I've been the great champion of the olive woolly booger, but I actually think that the olive pine squirrel leech might be better. Anyways, swinging these things, on either a single hand or double hand rod, it is a lot of fun, and it's a fun way to catch fish. It's not a super high probability as nymphing, but I don't like nymphing. I don't like indicator nymphing. I will tight line nymph. I will fish nymphs with a tenkara rod. Blasphemy, I know, from both tenkara people and fly fishing people. But for the most part, I want to swing flies nowadays. Now, I've said that, like, I'm talking about trout and stuff like that. If you live in certain parts of the world right now that have year-round trout fishing, it's going to be a little different for you, actually, because, and I've seen this where I lived in Idaho, is that the water gets very cold. So it gets down into like the 30s, and the fish tend to kind of pod up. They tend to move into deeper water, and they pod up. So there's a couple advantages to that. One is if you find one fish, you probably find more. The other advantage is that you can rule out a lot of water. So they're not going to be in the riffles and stuff unless it's a very sunny day or something like that. They're going to tend to be in deeper water. And again, it's a nymphing game, or like swinging flies down very, very deep with like a sink tip type thing. Fishing can be good, and you do get midge hatches. And when those things happen, they do come up and start taking taking flies from the surface. But it's not a guaranteed fishery, right? I mean, it can be, and the other part, you've always got the problem of icing up, and also icing along the shore can make it very dangerous for a fly fisherman. And so, don't go try to stand on the ice on the bank and fish. Or the shelf ice. It's going to break, and then you're going to fall in, and then it's going to really be unpleasant. Speaking of unpleasant, then there's steelheading. And so this is not something I've personally done with a fly rod. I did it a little bit with the spinning and bait casting tackle when I lived in Washington. And winter steelheading largely consists of standing around in the cold, in the rain, and being miserable and not catching fish. And I can tell you that was the case. Now, if you fish the Great Lakes tribs, you're probably going to have a lot better luck. Again, you're going to be fishing nymphing or swinging flies. I would swing flies just because that's what I want to do. But if you really want to catch them, you're going to be indicator nymphing with probably egg flies or beads, which I just don't like it. I did it in Alaska, and I'm just not a fan, but, works, it catches fish. The other option that we have here in the Kansas City area is the water may be too hot for trout 6 months out of the year, but guess what? 6 months out of the year, it isn't. And we have some stock fisheries where they stock some local lakes and ponds with rainbow trout, and this is a put and take fishery, and everybody's out there throwing power bait and worms and whatnot. And once those initial batch all succumb to the power bait and the worms, the ones that survive will turn into actual fish again. They go from pellet pig to behaving more or less like a wild trout in a couple weeks if they survive the onslaught of power bait and worms. And I have gone out there with the power bait to catch them because I wanted some fish for dinner. So no hating on that. It's just that they're going to, a large segment of the stocked population is going to succumb to power bait very early on. And then you'll get fish that kind of revert back to regular trout. And so this type of fishing is, again, you're going to be fishing small streamers. You're just going to cast that thing out, and you're just going to let it sink a little bit. I recommend bead heads to get it down a little bit, or even a sink tip line, and just slow retrieve. Or, and this is probably the most effective way, the indicator nymphing. I don't like it, but there it is. And so you can cast out some blingy little nymph patterns underneath a indicator. Maybe you want to put a couple shot on there to help get it down. But that really works. And I've discovered that the Rainbow Warrior is a great fly for this. It works really good. It's a small bead head, very flashy little nymph thing that works fairly well. So that's an option, and it's really fun. And the Brits actually have a very robust kind of technique system for fishing for rainbow trout in reservoirs. So over there, rainbow trout, not native, they're stocked in these reservoirs. And it's very much the public fishing thing. So, rivers in the UK tend to be hard to access and stuff like that because there's very little private property. Whereas in the reservoirs, it's anybody can go fish, or maybe it costs a little bit of money or something. I don't know, but it's much more popular. It's the everyman's fly fishing there. And they have invented a very robust set of techniques for fishing this stuff with sinking lines and a whole set of flies. There's with names that to us are quite odd, like the blob, which is exactly what it looks like. It's a blob. Or the booby, which is essentially a woolly booger with foam eyes on it so that it floats. And then combined with a sinking tip, it floats up a little bit of ways from the tip. Anyway, there's this whole system of still water fishing from the UK that I'm going to have to research and look into a little bit more, because it exactly matches kind of what we're doing here, except for we only get to do it 6 months out of the year because fish are not going to live through the summer. Although I have heard tales of fish being caught out of one of my local lakes that gets stocked that people are catching the occasional trout well into like the middle of July. And I think there may be some kind of deep cold water refugium for them, or maybe there's like a groundwater seep or something. But anyway, that's kind of your fly fishing options for the winter. Again, it's not exhaustive. I'm sure somebody could come in and tell me 50 things I said wrong about this, because I'm mostly talking about my experience. But like I said, look for those tailwaters, look for the spring-fed stuff. It's going to be exactly the same as it was the rest of the year round. Look for still water opportunities, especially if you live in a part of the country where you don't have trout most of the time. There are going to be some of these put and take fisheries that you can go. And again, don't feel bad about taking some fish home and eating them, because they're not going to survive this summer. And, if you're a glutton for punishment, go out and go steelheading. It's on my list of things to do. I am going to catch a steelhead on the fly, and if I have to stand around and freeze my butt off for a very long period of time, I will do it. So anyway, this is Jeff Deffen, Librarian here. Hoping y'all have a great winter of fly fishing, and I'll catch you on the fly.
All right, buddy. What do you think? I mean, you got those, what do they call what? Freestone streams flowing out of the White Mountains?
I've never heard that before. We call them rivers.
You just call them rivers.
Or
You just call them rivers.
Or brooks, yeah.
When you get down like in the Ozarks, they're spring creeks, because it's that karst, it's that limestone formation. And those things pretty much stay open all year unless it's just a wicked cold year. And then even if you're around where the spring is coming in, it'll still stay open. So and then of course they have the big tail race fishery he's talking about. And some of these tail race fisheries are nuts. I mean, he talks about the White River system in that particular piece, but you can go down to the Norfolk, which is just a little further east, and they've gotten some near world record browns out of that. I think the record on the Norfolk is over 42 pounds.
For a brown trout? That sounds pretend.
For a brown trout.
That's wild.
It does sound pretend, but it's that thing he was talking about where the temperature stays ideal. Mm-hmm. You're getting a lot of shad flush out of the big Norfolk reservoir, and these brown trout just can get insane. Now, your average brown is like down there is 3 or 4 pounds, but that,
by the way, that's a big average
dude.
Brown. I mean, up here they're like 2, maybe 1.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So up here by New Hampshire, if you're not familiar with where I'm at. Wow, that's crazy.
Right.
I'm so in. I'm so in.
I am so in. It's on the list. So anyway, thank you, Jeff Dannaldson, for that article.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that's some fun news to get, that we can go trout fishing if we want to. But what do you say we get to some fish in the news?
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna hit the button. Wrong button. Orange button. Everyone loves the fish in the news. I know, John, you put some stories up here, but I have a really important announcement.
I passed this one up because it was. I can't trying to stay positive, man.
Well, it's a holiday season, John. It's the season of smoked fish, and everyone's doing this great. You could die from listeria this Christmas. So that's the whole message. If you're eating cold smoked fish, you can die. That's just according to the timesnownews.com. That's the whole story, John. What's next?
Okay. Well, wow. Well, it's hard to follow that up, but I'll try.
Don't die from listeria this Christmas.
Well,
from the fish nerds.
Yeah. I saw that one. I was like,
here's how you avoid listeria. You have to cook your food. Yeah, and
got to buy yourself some smoked fish and then cook it. I don't know if that's going to happen with me. And
with tinned fish, you don't worry about it because they're already fine. So
that's right, with tinned fish, and if I am going to risk it, I'll buy it at Aldi, because that's a multi-billion-dollar company.
Oh, believe me, they've irradiated that thing. They're fine.
At least Kathy can sue them.
Yeah.
Well, she can sue them, and then she'll be able to live in style. And
look at you. You'll be doing her a favor, fine. John.
I might be that. Sometimes she might go along with that. All right. Now, but that was your PSA from Clay.
You're welcome.
For your Christmas dining pleasure. Yes, indeed. All right, I got a couple here from Spectrum News in Louisville, Kentucky. I love Louisville. I have Louisville. That's right. That's the proper way to pronounce it, indeed. And got some friends there. Been there many, many times, and drive through on our way when I come up your way. I like to take 64 highway right on through Louisville. But anyway, this is stuff this is about recycling Christmas trees, folks. And if you've got a recycling program anywhere around you, please get involved. Please give them your natural tree. Don't give them your darn plastic tree.
But they last longer.
Yeah, but really though, I can't believe they even have to say this, but it's just like when I go by one of those clothing collection boxes, clothing and shoes only, and see toys and a busted lawnmower and a jacked up big screen TV and all that sitting by it. I'm just like, what in the, well, I say, I'm not going to do this. Not going to spiral.
Get off the horse, John.
Not going to go down anger road. Because this is important because they have this all over the place, all over the country. And like our friend Glenn Place from the Rhode Island Trout Unlimited, he's the president of Rhode Island Trout Unlimited. His group takes these trees out and they have this way that they use them to repair erosion in the banks of the streams. And they pile them up in such a way that they trap sediment and stuff. And pretty soon the bank just basically regrows around the structure of Christmas trees. Now, around here, they just put them in the local lakes. They make great habitat for crappie. They make even better habitat, though, for your forage fish.
Guess what they do with them in New Hampshire?
What's that?
We burn them in the woods because it's not legal to put them in the lakes.
Well, maybe you have different ecosystem. And
no, they just don't want me having my reef built where I want it under my ice shack.
I don't know. I don't know. But of course, in Kentucky, they got great crappie fishing, and they want to add some habitat, and of course, we use them for that too. Other places, they take them out and they build little shelters, like where they're trying to reestablish woodcocks, quail, meadowlarks, things like that are actually preyed upon by turkeys. Well, you can build a kind of a U-shaped structure. Turkeys won't go in there because they don't like to get anywhere where they can't see.
Right.
But of course your shorter birds and stuff, they love that stuff because they'll actually go into the brush. And then of course, if it's a really active project, the DNR will plant things like Lespedeza or clover or so forth, around it. And that'll enhance these ground feeding, ground dwelling bird habitat. So helping the fish adjacent, who, you can't go wrong. So if you got one of these programs in your community, please get involved with it.
Absolutely.
All right.
John, let's pretend in your state it's not legal, hypothetically speaking, to put Christmas trees in the lake.
Right.
Is it legal to fish a spot that somebody else did? So like someone broke the law. Put trees in the water. You didn't do it, but you know about it.
Right.
Is it ethical to go fish that spot?
Do I have to answer this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I 100% would fish it.
I'm 100% fish it. Yeah. Well, and then
would you tell on your friend?
What? Never.
No.
Never. When I see the state of the Kansas DNR, we call it the Fish and Game here, but they have a gigantic barge, and you'll see it just piled high with red cedar and Christmas trees or what have you. And but they tend to drop in the same place over and over and over again. And what happens is if you get too many, the pile starts to compact in the middle, and it just becomes less favorable to the habitat, to the fish for crappie, for the habitat. So having some scattered around, I'm actually all in favor of it. I understand they're trying to keep people from dumping crap in the water, tires, garbage, but I also might happen to know some people that dump pallets in the water because the catfish will get in between the pallet boards and make a nice home in there.
Sure.
And it really helps your flathead population, especially to do that. So I'm on the fence. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I know the Fish and Game works awful hard and all that kind of stuff. But I also happen to know that Kansas reservoirs, we don't have those nice weed beds that you have. We have, riprap and rocks and some, standing timber, maybe some deadfalls, but we don't have a lot of that kind of vegetative, branchy, what we call small space habitat, where a forage fish can get in there just to get away from the big fish and then grow. And then it grows, it outgrows those small spaces. moves further and further out toward the edge, and eventually is where it can be fed upon. Also, they eat up all the food in the habitat, so they got to go out and swim around, look for food elsewhere. That's what happens in my pond. I'm like, why don't they just stay in the brush piles all the time? Well, they don't, because they run out of food in there. They got to get out and hunt, and that's when they get hunted. And so I'm on the fence, Clay. I'm on the fence.
It's easy, John.
You're pinning me down.
If you're not the one breaking the law by building the brush pile,
that's right.
If fishing the brush pile is not illegal, then you're fine. Just don't tell anybody where it's at.
Don't tell anybody where it's at. That's for sure. Although, yep, we won't tell. Although, if you're a local and you are in tune with the buzz, you kind of know the spots where people like to do it. So,
all right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
You get yourself in trouble.
Before we get in all kinds of trouble, this is just a cute story from the Bangor Daily News about the First Church of Belfast Christmas fair, and talking about how they've been making this fish chowder recipe for decades.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, a good Maine fish chowder.
Tell me about it,
John. You've never had anything like it. Like, I don't care where you live. If you're not in the Maine coast, or the chowders there are unbelievable. I've never had this particular one, country, but there's something about Maine chowder. It's just so good, buttery, creamy, delicious. Perfect.
Well, that's the way it sounds. I mean, they say it's very distinct to Maine. You got your Manhattan clam chowder, your New England clam chowder, but they say Maine clam chowder, it's ours. It belongs to us. There's some culinary principles behind it, and it sounds so delicious. So anyway, I just wanted to mention it. It's one of those Christmas things, and the way these folks make it, it just sounds great. And I love these things that when food brings people together. So
absolutely,
Bangor Daily News, thank you for letting us know.
John, what's your opinion? What's your opinion, John, on Manhattan clam chowder?
Yeah,
it's garbage. Okay, thank you. I'll speak for you in this case. It's absolute garbage.
Who puts a tomato in there?
Right, don't ruin it. If there's not butter and cream and potatoes in it, it ain't chowder. Get out of here.
Get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah. Now, it's funny. I have a jar of clams that my parents harvested from Washington State. A jar of razor clams. It's all canned up, ready to go.
Okay.
Can I make New England clam chowder out of those clams?
I think so.
Yep. Even though they're from Washington.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody.
I just won't tell I won't tell the clams.
Don't tell the clam.
That's right. That's my plan. I mean,
there you go. You're down. You're fine. Okay. I'll tell you what. I love this next story. This thing got me so excited. I heard about this from, I was doing research for our Halloween show, and we didn't run the story, but there's a legend of the monster between the lakes down in Kentucky. You've got the Kentucky Lake, and then you've got Barkley Lake, and they're right by each other. And there's this strip of land called the land between the lakes. And it's only about, 10, 15 miles wide. It's a preserve. It's for hunting. It's for camping. It's for doing stuff. And, anyway, there's a story about it, and I was talking to the director of tourism down there about it, and she turned me on to this story. This is kind of crazy, Clay. This is one of those wacky immigrant stories. Okay,
right, let's go.
About how immigrants make this country great,
and they eat the dogs and the cats, John. They're eating the dogs. Yeah, I wasn't the cats.
I wasn't going to go there.
I'm there.
Well, obviously you are there. This is a story about a lady from China that came over here expressly to help us deal with the problem of the big head carp and the silver carp. And this ties into Washington. Like Mitch McConnell got involved with this project. Anyway, they had a project to eliminate the silver and big head carp out of Barkley Lake and Kentucky Lake. But what are you going to do with all these fish once they're harvested? Well, let's see.
All right, let's go.
In far western Kentucky, one Chinese American is single-handedly solving a major environmental issue of an invasive species of fish through her pursuit of the American dream. Angie Yu grew up in rural northern China, but she's made her home a long way from there in Wickliffe, Kentucky. Right on the western border of the Bluegrass State, she's turning what many call a trash fish into treasure. Yu's company, Two Rivers Fishery, is working to cut down on the species in the area by taking in and processing thousands of fish a day. She explains that Asian carp has no stomach. They have no true stomach, Clay. This is crazy.
What? No, they must.
Now, this is why they eat all the time, and this is why they grow very fast, and this is why they spawn constantly. And So in the past 40 years, we've had an explosion of these carp. So you explains the problem is too many, but if we keep them at the right population, they're a very good source of food for human beings. So although Americans don't typically eat carp, you explains that it's a popular food in other parts of the world, namely Asia and the Mideast. The nutritious value of carp is very, very close to salmon, she says. They're very good fish. They are not bottom feeders. They're on top. They're jumping. They're, and they are. They're algae eaters. They're plant eaters. With a background in importing and exporting to and from China, you decided that she could start this carp export business. And since 2013, her fishery has provided work for local fishers and people at her processing plant. The fact that she started this company helped spearhead this effort to come up with innovative ways to use sound and just different methods to drive these carp in these two lakes into small areas where they can be netted in a big way. And she goes, my plan is to reduce, reuse, and redefine Asian carp. And she has turned this problem into a solution that creates jobs and a new booming industry. And she takes the stuff that, she takes the meat, the edibles, exports it. She also takes the stuff that can't be eaten, and she either turns it into fertilizer, or she presses it for fish oil, or she turns it into just that protein powder that they just put in pet food and animal feed and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So this Angie, you've got it going on, bro.
Right on.
Is doing what we've always said needs to be done. If you can't beat them, eat them.
That's right.
Right. Yep. So hats off to Angie. Thank you for coming to this.
Beating that drum since 2011.
And we have indeed. And Angie's on board. And thank you for coming to this great land of ours and helping us with this problem, because these fish are endangered in China. They're so popular. They can't, find places to catch them anymore.
Well, it's wild, John. So carp are brought to the United States as a food fish. The goal was to make it a forage fish for humans to eat. And Americans were like, it's not trout.
Well,
and then we were done with it. That was it. Like that's our attitude. It's terrible.
Well, actually, up until the 60s, you could get money and help with the Department of Fish and Game in Kansas to start a carp pond on your farm, because they were seen still as a stock animal. So if you were, had especially in the smaller farm era, you would have your some cows to eat. You'd have different animals to eat, and people really did eat carp. A lot of German, it's called German carp. We're talking about the common carp now, folks.
Which, by the way, are delicious, John. Have you eaten them?
Yeah.
They're great.
And
it's a great fish. It's delicious.
Yeah. It's actually, just a little more labor intensive. And also, see, what happened is in the East, when the factory started dumping all the dye from the mills processing fabric and doing whatever else mills do, all the trout died out of the rivers, and the only fish that was still in there was the carp. Right. Well, we couldn't.
Well, that's not true. Exactly.
No.
The fact of the matter is the trout, mostly the big river trout we had here in New Hampshire, for example, when the dams were built for all the mills, the dams themselves that killed the migration for the fish, that's what wiped them out. Carp were brought in as a gift for General John Stark to New Hampshire.
You told me this story. I think we put it on.
So it was a gift we know exactly when they were brought in and what they were brought here for, and they were introduced as a food fish. But you're right, it was because the trout died out. But it was more salmon, shad, and herring. And if you read all the history books, they talk about the rivers being so thick with salmon you could walk across them. They were confusing shad and herring with salmon.
Well, these wacky journalists.
Yeah.
They get off on stuff. But I guess, some of these rivers would actually run blue, red.
Yes.
Because of the dye and because
absolutely,
of the
100%.
And when people looked in there and the only fish still alive was the carp, they couldn't blame the rich guy on the hill. They had to blame the carp.
100% true. Yep.
And so that's kind of the story. But anyway, the Asian carp got in here because we were looking for cheap ways to clean out drains and control algae and all this stuff, and they just got out of hand. They just got away from fish management people, and next thing you know, they're a huge problem. So Angie's fighting back, and I'm with her all the way. Anyway, Clay, let's get on out of here. Let's end Fish in the News. Fish in the news. Everybody loves that fish in the news. Oh, everybody loves that fish in the news, but you know what else they love?
What's that?
Culinary Corner, and we haven't done one in a while. What do you say? Let's do it.
What are you gonna do with Will you grill it? Will you blacken it in a skillet? We gotta make it delicious, so it's not for naught. Let's take a look at ways to cook it in the Fish Nerds Culinary Corner.
Love that theme music.
I love it, love it, love it. It is so great. All these things I'm going to miss. The mysterious baitcaster cylinder is definitely one indeed. All right. We did this on the Fish Nerds Facebook group. And of course, because of that popular show, The Bear, in season 1, they showed the family. They're an Italian-American family talking about immigrants that make this country great. The Italian-Americans have this thing that they started right around the turn of the century called the Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Yes.
And it's based on, old time, all the way back to when the Romans, were in charge. The Christians would have these feasts on Christmas Eve to celebrate the coming of the Christ child. But it was never just specifically, the seven fishes thing and all that. There's traditions, the pasta, the different fish, different areas. I mean, whenever we talk about Italy, Sicily, Mexico, name an area. I mean, I hate when people talk about Africa, like Africa's just like one country,
Right. It's tiny. It's nothing to it.
But there's regions all, up and down Italy, different regions, different cuisines, different things like that. And it's true of pretty much every country. And this started to grow up in San Francisco, in the Bronx, in places where there's a lot of, vigorous Italian communities, and seven fishes. And that's not from 7-Up or 7-Eleven. That is from things like the seven sacraments, seven deadly sins. Seven just turns up in the Bible a lot. If 666 is the beast form of Satan, then, people say, well, then 777 must be the good guys, must be Jesus or whatever. I've heard that.
Right.
Argument.
Also, jackpot.
7 is important.
At the casino.
There you go. That's right. The 777 rolling those sevens, either on get the jackpot at the one-armed bandit, or you're rolling sevens over there on the dice table. 7 is something to everybody. Okay, so now this feast, and especially the Bear, has gotten people trying it out all over the place. We had Irish American ancestry. We had just regular, people, Anglo ancestry. All these people were chiming in about Feast of the Seven Fishes and how they're trying it, or they're going to try it, or their family had picked this up a while back before it got popular. And I just want to know, Clay, because what it essentially is. I mean, if you go into it, I put the wiki article in there, and you like bacala, which is the cod, the preserved cod. But you can do clams. You can do dolphin fish is one that's very popular. Calamari, very popular, fried calamari. The scallops, smelts, anchovies, sardines, these sorts of things. I think on the Bear, she Jamie Lee Curtis, gosh, she's such a great actor. I love her so much. She's doing some lobster and this and that and the other thing. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So look, this is the great USA, baby. Anything goes. Okay. So I asked you, did you come up with a Feast of Seven Fishes?
So I surveyed my students today. I have 77 students. And I asked the question, have you ever heard of the Feast of Seven Fishes? And not one of them heard of it.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Shocking, right?
Well,
and I personally have never done.
Not really.
Well, you got to also bear in mind, I live in a small mountain town with not that much diversity.
Exactly. And their priorities are different.
And their priorities are different.
There you that's just it.
Yeah.
Hey, we already covered New England anyway. We talked about chowder, baby. Chowder.
We did. Now, John.
So that
John.
You asked those things. Yeah. Go. Oh, I thought you were calming me down.
I was, but go ahead.
Anyway, you asked those same kids about chowder. Ask those kids about chowder. They're going to tell you something, right?
It's that era. That's a wicked good chowder you got there.
Absolutely. So everybody has their own trip. All right. We don't want, we don't need everybody to be the same, but I love the way this is spreading. It's just like Cinco de Mayo. I don't know a lot of authentic Mexican dishes, but celebrating a cool battle like that sounds right to me. And I can make some really mean Tex-Mex. So I'm going to be pulling out that Dos Equis or that Corona, and I'm going to be making me some Tex-Mex. All right. So Clay, I came up with my own Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Let's go.
Well, let's do it, baby, because it's based on maybe a little fantasy, but mostly it's based on things maybe I hopefully could catch for myself. Because Kathy's kind of she has her own thing about fish, and we don't. We have okay places to get fish, but it's not like what y'all got out there. Okay, so and also I would like to catch these fish, so I made this up with some stuff I could catch, with some stuff I could buy.
Great,
but also with the idea that this is something I don't know how Jamie Lee Curtis in that show, The Bear, really expected to pull that off. I mean, it looks crazy impossible. I think that's another thing. You got to get the whole family there. You got to get the kids and the cousins and everybody that likes to cook, and get them in the kitchen and get everybody else away from the kitchen and get some help. But here we go. This is Crappie Hippie's idea for the Feast of Seven Fishes I'd like to do. All right. First of all, I don't mind going out and catching the pellet pigs, the tank scrubbers. We do that put and take fishing here in Kansas. So 6 months out of the year, they start dumping them in October, and then they'll come around again in March and dump some more in. And then by, I don't know, the middle of May, they start dying out because the water starts getting too warm. But in the meantime, you've got plenty of time to get yourself some stocky trout. So when I catch those, I like to marinate them, and I would marinate these in a little olive oil, rosemary, maybe just a touch of garlic. I'd hot smoke them on the grill. Then I crumble them up. I'd layer in with some cream cheese, some chives, some sun-dried tomato, because when I make a spread, I like to get that color in there, and I like to get that Italian flag in there. I like to get the white, the red, and the green. So anyway, that's your starter, the pellet pig trout spread.
delicious.
And then, yeah, baby. And then speaking of chowder, us Kansans, we know how to make that stuff, because we can just go get ourselves a can of clams or a can of oysters and make some oyster stew. And that would be your soup course. And there that goes. And then one of my favorite things, talk about you Catholics, talk about Catholic culture. Well, how about down south Louisiana? Make yourself some Cajun shrimp. I love Cajun shrimp, baby.
Yes.
You make it right. You just sit there and chow down on it, shell and all, because all that butter and all that spice and all that stuff is going to soften those shells. You cook it right. And oh my gosh. And if you can get the head on shrimp, then more power to you. And I believe you me, if you do it right, man, I'll just sit there, eat it head and all. No problem. Now, for the big main courses, here we go. Last year, I did a big long piece on lacquered salmon. And this is where it kind of goes into fantasy, because this would be my bank breaker. Because, I do farm caught, but what I really want, Jeff's hypnotized me. He's indoctrinated me. I really want to get a wild caught sockeye or king salmon to do it. And
having caught wild salmon, Chinook salmon, so good.
It is so good. And in that particular show last year, on our holiday show, I talked about how my neighbor gave me some fresh king salmon. He brought straight back from Alaska. One of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. But flip the script, and we're going to do something really common, really easy to get. Go to Aldi. I get this all the time when we visit Sarah. We eat this all the time, but don't throw no shade on tilapia, because I love it and I'll eat it. And I've got that citrus bake recipe that I've done on the show before. You lay out the citrus slices and you cook it on there, and it takes on a beautiful citrusy tang, little salt.
Well,
little
it's
pepper.
easy to hate tilapia, but it's hard to hate tasting tilapia. Like, it's
Right.
easy to have an opinion about it, but it tastes good, and that's why people eat it.
Well, it really, really is good. It really is good. And then if I have any luck, a couple of fish that you can catch in the wintertime, if you're having a good day, I would do a baked stuffed catfish or drum fillet. Get a nice sized drum, a nice sized catfish, somewhere in the 2 to 4 pound range. And you take those fillets and you cut a slit in the middle, and then you make yourself up a stuffing, and you can do it all kinds of ways. Some breadcrumbs, maybe a little parm cheese in there, maybe a little parsley, a lot of butter. Put a lot of butter in it, mix it in there, maybe a little fine diced onion. But anyway, you jam that stuff down in that slit, and you bake the whole thing, and you let that butter or the olive oil you've put into that stuffing infuse the fish, and it's great. And then of course, I got to do this. I got to do the last one's going to be pan fried crappie, baby. I'm not sure what coating I'm going to use, because I have too many favorites. Whoa, spit bubble. Yeah, I'm getting a spit bubble because my mouth is watering.
There you go.
This is my Kansas. Yeah, I'm sorry to be TMI on you folks.
It's called the Kansas
serious.
Spit Bubble.
It is. Well, it's just, I love pan fried crappie, bass, bluegill. And when they come from my test pond, my own place, my own pond, from my own hand, there's just something about it, right? It's just something about it. I mean, I'm actually, tearing up here. I mean, it really is the whole Christmas tradition right there in a dish, or just the family tradition. I mean, it just my love of fishing, my love of family.
Perfect.
Pan fried fish is where it's at, and that would be the big topper for the meal. This is kind of an impractical thing for just Kathy and me to do, but we might do it like one a day over 7 days or something like that.
Well,
but anyway,
perfect. Well,
that's
John,
John,
I
that's
think
my
that
feast
sounds
of 7 fish.
It sounds very good. A few years ago, Dave Kellum and I were on public radio, and we did the Feast of 7 Fishes, but we baked them all into a cookie. So we took 7 different kinds of tinned fishes and threw them into sugar cookie dough, and we ate those on the radio. So it could be worse. It could be worse. But
it could be. I also thought that we used to do the tinned fish special around Thanksgiving.
Yes, we're way overdue on
We
that.
should have been doing it at Christmas.
Right?
7 cans of fish.
Oh,
Let's see.
Perfect. Well, maybe next year, John. Maybe next year.
Right.
We'll cycle back. But I always think you could take all these fish and you throw them all in a like a food processor. Let's say like you take 7 very different kinds of fishes. So, let's say you take white perch, yellow perch, tinned herring, smoked tinned octopus, smoked oysters, fresh salmon, and some carp. Toss them all into your food processor with a handful of breadcrumbs, an egg, bunch of herbs, and maybe some Parmesan cheese and garlic, salt and pepper. Blend them together, make patties, fry them in butter and oil, and then serve them. I bet you that would be perfect tinned fish or 7 fish dinner right there. One bite. Boom. You're done.
I love it. I
You're
absolutely
done.
love it.
It's efficient, John.
USA, baby. We're going to reinterpret. We're going to make it our way.
Yep.
And I love Clay's way. I love that idea. But love it as I do, I think it's time to wind up this culinary corner.
What are you gonna do with that fish that you caught? If you kill it, will you grill it? Will you blacken it in a skillet? We gotta make it delicious, so it's not for naught. Let's take a look at ways to cook it in the Fish Nerds Culinary Corner.
All right, that concludes part 1 of our show.
Good.
So if you're digging on only that kind of stuff, our regular show stuff, we're done. Now we're going to move into gifts and reviews. I would hope you would hang with us,
Of course,
but I'm giving you notice that that's what's coming up next. So let's go.
Jolly old Saint Nicholas, lean your ear this way.
Look, Clay, I know this next thing, I can see you're going to be a little scared here. I got kits on the list. We're not going to do a half hour with me going into the deepest dive on jig kits that anyone ever put on audio. I promise.
We've already done that.
Yeah, we've done that. So we're going to do what the Facebook group, the Fish Nerds Facebook group, came up with a general kit, their ideas, what to put in it. I'm going to blast right through this and just let you comment. So, all right, a general kit that you're going to just make up for.
But this is the perfect fishing kit according to the Fish Nerds Facebook group.
That's it. That's it.
All
So
right, let's go.
Number 1, it should have some bobbers in it.
Hell yeah.
And the cheapo red and white plastics and the EVA, the little more fancier ones, even split as far as the group, but they got to be in there. Got to have some hooks in there, size to your panfish, either Aberdeen or cricket hooks. Although the regular just J hook Aberdeen was way ahead of the cricket hook, but people were like, cricket hooks are good, especially little kids. Got that long shank and help you unhook fish a lot more easily. But anyway, when it comes to split shot, I said, you want the turtle pack or you just want to get one side? They're like, don't waste your money getting the turtle pack. It's just something for them to play with and spill and all that. Just get one size. Just pick BB or
because you know what happens to a turtle pack, John? It gets water in it. It always gets water in it at some point, and it wrecks half your split shot.
Well, there you go. It was really sensible. I just love these folks that participate in the fish book. In the fish book, I do that every time, Clay. In the Fish Nerds Facebook group.
Yeah.
All right.
Bunch.
They are a good bunch. All right. But then, of course, links, easy links, because you don't want to just be, hey, help me tie on a new hook, help me tie on a new hook. And I've done enough fishing education that if you can hold a child's interest in not tying for more than 30 seconds, you must be on the right hand of the Lord, because it's the part where I just lose them as fast as I can. So anyway, this is great advice. Put on a fast snap, put on a quick clip, put on a snap swivel, but have some links in that kit. Okay. That makes your life easier, their life easier. Everybody loves it. Okay. Number 1 lure for beginners, inline spinner. Number 2, straight up jig, either hair or plastic.
Yep.
Number 3, spinner based on a jig.
Sure.
Number 4, couple of spoons, small spoons, little Cleo, Daredevil, Al's Goldfish, whatever. And then where the big controversy came in, and I need you to chime in, is hard baits. I say yes, put a little Rapala or something in there, but
easy.
A lot of people are like, no.
Easy, because here's why. Like you take a kid to a river, right? You throw a big Rapala or a little Rapala out in the river. Now here's how I do it with fish kids. The kids will throw it out in the river, a terrible cast, but there's a current. Open the kid's bail, let that thing float downstream 100 feet. Close the bail. All of a sudden, you got a good cast. Now tell the kid to reel in as slow as possible. Nice and easy. Fighting that current. Oh,
downstream swing,
small
baby.
Bass. You got it, baby. Easy.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. Well, that's really cool. And those big browns, they'll surprise you, because they'll come up and get that darn
47-pound brown trout will go all day.
Okay, so people were like, what about some trout fishing with that spinning rod? And the way that broke down, people were like, number 1 was a spin caster. They all can work a remote control. They can work a spin cast rod. But there were the spin fishers that say, hey, it just takes a little longer. Why not get them, start them out into that equipment, because all the tangles are on the outside. You don't have to open a cover to fix it. And,
agreed.
But I was surprised how well poles did. A lot of people said, just do poles, man.
That's
just
how
do
I am.
poles the way you do. Yeah, exactly. So they did real well. But they said, if you're going to get them into the little trout fishing, get you some Joe Fly spinners, get yourself some woolly buggers, get them a bubble.
No.
The
bubble is complicated. You're making it complicated.
Okay.
I disagree with the bubble. I respectfully disagree with the bubble.
All right. So you just say, just stick with that bobber.
Stick with the bobber. Yeah.
Stick with the bobber. Okay. Clay, I've spoken. One thing they were universally against was plastic worms and stuff. Yeah, they're fun. Kids love them. They look like toys and all that, but it requires such a specialized set of gear, special weights, special hooks, special rigging experience, special fishing style, and a more advanced
some finesse. Yes.
Yeah, some finesse, some of that
experience.
Yeah, baby. So let's just leave that plastic worming and that bass fishing type to your intermediate level, to the next kit or the next thing you're going to go to after they fish for a while. Tools. Number 1, pocket knife, preferably Swiss Army style.
All kids love a knife.
Who doesn't love a
You
good
gave
knife?
my kids knives.
I did give them.
First time you met him, you're like, here's a knife. I'm like, oh,
yeah, there you go.
Welcome to my house. Next year, it's a gun.
No, that's your neighbor. But I did give them both nice, good old martini Rapala fillet knives, because by gosh, those things not only can clean fish, but they can save your life. I'll tell you what, you need to cut a piece of rope, they'll do it. Hemostats came in number 2, long nose pliers, nail clippers, and trailing off last is the all-in-one tool. Some people like them. Some people say, just all the tools on an all-in-one. None of them are as good as the single tool. So it's got the little saw blade, it's got the knife blade, it's got the needle nose pliers, it's got a corkscrew, and the kid's like, what? And they're just like, none of these is really convenient as just having a Swiss Army knife instead. So
right.
So we can go along with that. Yeah, it's a good list. And then somebody stuck this in the notes.
I did.
Beginner fly fishing.
Yes.
Well, tell it.
Well, if you want to get a kid into fly fishing, keep it as simple as possible, right? A little fly rod, 4-weight rod, some of the most basic flies. Woolly bugger you can't lose with. And my favorite, squirmy wormy. You put that in the water where there's a panfish. I don't care how bad your cast is, you're pulling fish out. Easy. And then you got them hooked. Simple.
Oh, it really is simple. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. All right. And then here's some ice fishing tips. If you're, there's a lot of beginners my age on this ice fishing thing.
Sure.
So I love that you stuck this in. Talk about it.
Yeah, so like if you want to get into ice fishing, the hardest thing about ice fishing that makes it most hard is making a hole in the ice. It makes it terrible. And people are spending lots of money. I know I've been watching who are those ladies we follow? Is it Anna on Ice and Nicole?
Oh yeah, on ice, yeah,
Yeah.
and Nicole Stone, yeah.
So they're pushing right now like the big ion ice augers. Those like $400 a piece. And they're right, they're great stuff.
Yeah.
But if you already have a drill, like a DeWalt drill, for like $140, you can buy a really great light flight or Nils auger and drill holes in the ice all day, no problem. And then all you need is a simple auger, an ice rod with small tests, like 4 pound, 6 pound tests, and small jigs, and a worm. Keep it simple, stupid. That's KISS. Simple.
I
Nothing
love it.
to ice fishing. You're under $200 and you can fish for years. Of course, you'll spend $800 because it's fun, but you don't need to. So, yeah. Just adding
that
in the
is
ideas.
fantastic.
Keep it simple, but don't cheap out on the auger. Like, don't buy some cheap
Okay.
Eskimo auger and auger at Walmart for $35 because you'll hate ice fishing because you'll spend all your time trying to grind holes in the ice. Buy an auger that's made to go
man.
on your drill blade, on your DeWalt drill or your whatever Milwaukee, and go fishing. Don't adapt something. You'll hate it.
Well, that's absolutely true. And if you've ever used an auger that's dull,
Oh,
or someone has sharpened the blade the wrong way,
mm-hmm.
oh God, you're just going round and round and round and round, and your
pushing
arm
and
just starts to
grinding
hurt.
and pushing and grinding. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Ruin your day.
Terrible. All right, keep it simple, stupid.
Mhm.
All right, we'll love that. Okay, let's start off this review part, this gift suggestion part,
Let's go.
with a Fish Nerd's gift. Clay, what just came in?
John, I just got a box of the official Fish Nerds merch. I got about 7 trucker style orange fishing hats. Orange, the
Yeah.
color off of the northern red bellied dace. A couple of
There you
pink
go.
ones, couple of gray ones in too. So I will post pictures on Facebook. You can message me on how to get them. It'll be $25, including shipping anywhere in the United States. And if you live somewhere
Well, you
else,
need
we'll
one.
figure out. So
Well, you need one of these because these are lined, right?
no, these are baseball hats. Like
Oh
trucker-
no! Oh, they're not the beanies. Okay,
Not the beanies, these are trucker hats and
the
fishing-
dad hat.
the dad
cap.
hats. Yeah, dad caps.
Oh, I've
Um,
got mine. I love both. Look, I've got the beanie. I've got the dad.
But the
dad cap.
beanie, I don't have any beanies in stock right now. The beanies are lined with the belly for a fur-bearing trout, and they're so.
I know.
Oh my god, they're warm.
It's
hats.
crazy how putting that liner in there really makes for a
Right?
much better hat. It
Well,
is
that's that-
fantastic.
The rare fur-bearing trout fur. It does it every time.
Well, I mean it.
So-
I mean it. I don't care that they're endangered. I need a warm head.
Right, worth it. As long as you're
Worth
eating the
it.
fur. I ate all those fur-bearing trouts. It made it worth it. So, all right, moving on, John.
Let's move on. Hey, we haven't heard from her in a while. You ready to hear for some suggestions from Doc?
Yeah, I miss Doc Martin.
Oh, I miss Doc Martin too, but we don't have to miss her anymore because here she is. All right, Fish Nerd Nation, I'm so excited. Guess who we got in the house coming at you with a little gift review right now? The one and only, our favorite science correspondent of all time, Doc Martin. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. How's it going, everybody? I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're always glad to have you. And when we have this little thing on Facebook called the Producers Club. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's and I said, hey, I need some reviews. I need some stuff. And I had to have Doc, submit some non-fishing stuff because we have non-fishers that listen to this program
Right.
and just like to hear us nerd out and just like to hear the zany news stories and all that kind of stuff. And fishers too. I mean, especially we've got young kids and this and that. There's always, get them a little dip net so they can look at critters, get them this, get them that. I said, Doc, what you got? What you got? You got a water test kit? You got something? Anyway, why am I talking? Why am I talking when Doc should be talking? Tell us what you got, Doc.
So I just have a few things. And hopefully they're helpful, but we're gonna start with microscopes. Because microscopes are fun, but there's different levels of microscopes. And some are better than others. So for like the little kids. So if you have a budding scientist, an aquatic ecologist, that likes to look at stuff, but maybe would break an adult-sized microscope. Um, so there's a really cool, it's by, let's see, you can get it at Walmart. It looks like it's a Geo Safari Junior Learning Microscope. It's $20. I happened to get 7 of them at a garage sale for $1 a piece, and so I use them out here. They're not high quality, but they basically just have a little. They're plastic, first of all, and the lenses are plastic. The whole thing is plastic. They are pretty indestructible as far as it goes. We've had ours for probably 5 years now. And it has a little plastic base, and you can get stuff that comes with it. You can get things that actually come with the microscope to look at under there, but you can just put leaves and critters and bugs and stuff under there too. And all it really does is it magnifies it a little bit bigger. My daughter mostly just, like, looked at her fingers under there a lot and stuff around the house, and she would, paste together little, like the puff balls with the googly eye things, and then look at her creations under that, and that worked really well for when they're really little, so maybe toddler aged kinda thing.
Well, can
Yeah.
I cut in here real quick? Just
Yeah.
because toddlers aren't the only one that bust microscopes. All right.
No, I've got we're leveling up.
Okay, because sometimes adults get told, "Don't use the long ocular. You don't need it, and don't bust my slides." And that's right about about the time a certain adult who will remain nameless but could possibly be sitting in right on this interview right now, went crack and busted the hell out of the prepared slide. May or may not have happened, but anyway.
That happens to the best of us.
Does it? Oh, good. That's good to know. It also happens to the most mediocre of us. So listen up, folks. We're going to scale up. Let's go.
Yeah, and so if you have maybe older kids, National Geographic has a really nice microscope kit. It is about $45, but it is more like a proper compound microscope. So it only has, I think, just the one objective, but the magnification power is a little bit higher. It has a kind of a proper stage area where you can put things on there. Again, there's more stuff that comes with it, but you can look at lots of different things in nature. This includes now maybe some of your aquatic macroinvertebrates and the emergent or submergent aquatic vegetation and algae that you find in there. You can start to kind of see some of that cell structure, which is really cool. Nothing too crazy high powered, but now you're really getting into some pretty powerful magnification that you can't do with your eyeballs, which is really nice. And I don't know where you can get it, probably on the internet somewhere. But the National Geographic kits, I know that those are also at Walmart. I've seen some of the National Geographic stuff there too. Spoiler alert, even though I'm at a university town, it's a very small town, so we don't have a Target. We have a Walmart. And if you can't get it there, then you're going to one of the small independent shops that we have. So I don't know what is available elsewhere because that's what I have here in Emporia.
Well, you know what? I'll help you run it down. We'll get them a link though, Doc. Between the two of us, we'll get a link list for you all.
There you go.
Don't panic.
Well, sure, National Geographic website would probably have a link.
And there you go. Yeah, indeed. I bet they have a whole gift corner over there.
I'm sure they do. And then for your high schoolers, even adults, this is actually really fun. One of my
just air quote me? Did you just air quote adults right there?
No, it's just my hand.
Okay. Okay.
I
thought you looked at me and air quoted adults. Okay, I'm sorry. Go
or any
on,
of us adults. So one of my colleagues has this, and we brought it out to Citizen Science Day, and it works. I was actually shocked at how well it worked. I did not think that it would do as well as it did. And it's a Carson Micro Bright Plus pocket microscope. It's battery powered. You can, it's a little tricky to get it to focus correctly. So it does take more patience than, a child would have. So really high school or above for something like this. But now you're getting into, if you were to look at like an ephemeropteran, a mayfly larva, you're only going to zoom in on one specific, like maybe the mouth parts. and you will see every stinking mouth part on that organism. And if you put your finger under there, you can see the sweat pores in your skin. So it's much, much higher power. It's very impressive, and it's fun to take outside and just look at all of the cool things that you have.
Wow. Okay. So what's this going to run us?
It's only $6. It's really cheap.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, I don't know. It's super cheap. And that's why I was like, this isn't gonna work, right? Like this is gonna be garbage, but it's surprisingly good. It's not as easy to use. The other two, you kind of they're there. They're easy to use. It's very foolproof. This one does take a little bit more patience.
This has come up with me and the pond lady before. So needing a nice little applicable microscope that can show you different things in the sunshine and in a hurry. So this one, does it have its own battery pack? Is the battery internal? Is it rechargeable? Give me just a few.
The battery's internal. It does have a light on it.
Oh.
So you don't have to you don't have to use the light, but you can if you need to. I don't know if it comes with rechargeable batteries, but I'm guessing you could have rechargeable batteries and use it with that, but you'd have to get like rechargeable AA batteries.
It's a AA. Runs on a AA, not a lithium.
Double or
Okay.
triple. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's fine because I've got those. I've been on the rechargeable for decades now. All right, so fantastic. Keep going. You got some more?
Yeah, I got definitely one other thing. How's
Okay.
that? So I like to look at critters, but I also like to look at space stuff. And most of us have smartphones, and a lot of the photography ability of just the standard cameras are like compared to decades ago, it's just fantastic, right? But sometimes you still need just something that's a little bit more zoomed in, or maybe you want to get a really nice picture of the moon, or you're not going to see like the rings of Saturn. So don't get too excited on that. But you can get a full nice picture of the moon. You can get some really nice photos of planets, but not of any like discernible features of the planets. So expectations need to be realistic here.
Okay.
But this is a little photo camera lens kit. And so you get a macro lens, a fisheye lens, and a little telescope lens. It comes with its own tripod and a little clip that clips over the camera part of your phone. It is, how much is this? I don't know. I bought it a while ago. I probably bought it 4 years ago, I think. And I love it. I use it a lot. So I use the stand and the clip to actually I could attach my phone to one of my microscopes. It kind of sets it up there really nice so I can use it as a microscope clip. But the macro lens is really good. My daughter and I take pictures of like flowers up close and bugs and stuff, that's really fun. And then when we go and see space stuff.
I do remember when you got this because you posted a lot of sweet. Oh, yeah. See, there you go. A lot of sweet pictures of constellations and things like that. And it is frustrating. I mean, I have an old iPhone SE because I only do the free phone thing and they give you the garbage that nobody wants. But, or what was cool, 14 years ago or whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm old and it's fine. But these lenses sound fantastic because I'm going to be interested if they eliminate the dreaded green dot anytime you want to take that beautiful sunrise or sunset picture, and you're maneuvering the green dot into the sun so you don't have a big green dot on the pond or in the sky that you are tempted to pass off as an alien ship or whatever, something like that. Yeah, these really do work, folks. I'm very interested in this one as well. Because it's fishing adjacent. When we're out there catfishing, doing our thing at night, especially, it always gets around to Star Talk, and it always gets around to, oh man, you see more than one shooting.
So cool.
Yeah, it is, and you see more than one shooting star, and you're like, wait a minute, is it a meteor shower? Should we all get ready here and keep looking up, and that's when you set the little bell or the buzzer on your rod, so you don't have to watch your rod tip so much. But anyway, fantastic. Well, if you don't have any more, or you have another one, or you have something you want to talk about, just Doc Martin's got something to say.
I could do both of those things. You did ask me specifically in your email that you sent about the specimen tanks for photos.
Yes.
Okay. So I have not purchased any myself. My colleague did purchase some and then made some. And there are lots of people that are going to have a lot better opinions than I do on this. So listen to them. But from what I understand, making it yourself isn't that hard. And it's usually better quality than what you're going to buy.
Okay.
So if you got some, plexiglass or something and some basic sealant, then if you're able to cut it, that might be the way to go. There's some small specimen tanks that you can get online. I don't know. I would think that there would be some from, I'm thinking of some of the conservation sites that would have them, but I'm just not familiar with where those are. And a lot of the advice that I've gotten when I was thinking about buying some was just to go buy the materials and make it myself because it would be better and it'd be what I want. The smaller ones are easier to find. So for things like darters or your cyprinids, those ones aren't so hard. It's anything bigger than that, which is going to get problematic. And sometimes I think there's some on, it's probably Amazon. And I thought, wow, those look cool. And they have an obvious photoshopped fish in there that looks pretty big. But then you go, just read the dimensions is all I'm saying. Because I looked at those dimensions and I'm like, that can't be real, what I'm seeing right now.
Right. Holds up to a 7-pound bass. No. Well, back into the show real quick. You had a couple more things to say. I want to hear about Cece's Christmas. Give it to us, Doc.
Okay. So I always ask my daughter what she wants for Christmas. And this is the first year where she has asked for something that's like an actual thing that you would buy. So what do I mean by that? Thank you for asking. Last year, I asked her what she wanted, and she said dirt. So,
right on.
So we ended up getting her a sandbox, which I thought was pretty good. So that was, I thought, there you go. It's dirt, baby girl, just what you wanted. But this year, let's see, she wants a Bluey house. So she likes the show Bluey with the 2 little dogs. So she absolutely loves it. And she wants a dollhouse basically for Bluey. I have no idea if that exists. I'm sure it does somewhere. I'm sure it does.
It's hugely popular.
Yeah. And then the other things that we're getting are the Audubon Society, which are the bird people. They actually make stuffies of real bird species. And if you squeeze them, they make the actual tweet sound that the birds make. And my mother got her one for Christmas when she was several years ago. And it still works. It's a black-capped chickadee. She knows what it is. She can do the whistle now because she's learned to whistle. And so she go, just like that. It's really cute. So we're getting her a couple more of those for Christmas, which I think she'll really like. And then she's in kindergarten now, right? So she's learning her reading and writing and sentences, and she's talked a lot about what being an author is. They're working through that at school. And so I got her, we have a little local trucks gallery and gifts downtown. And they have a lot of handmade, cool, artsy stuff. And so I got her a little handmade diary so she can keep all of her plans. She likes to pretend to be a ninja, so she's very sneaky. And so she'll get her paper out and then she'll draw like stick figure people with arrows, and she'll be like, "Mommy, here's the plan. Here's what we're gonna do." And so I thought girl needs a diary, so she's got a nice little diary, and then she's crafty, so we do a lot of crafting together. And then when we were at the fabric store, she found 2 pieces of really fuzzy fabric that she liked. So I picked them up, and then we can make blankets together so she can make her own blanket.
Well, that is fantastic. All right, Doc. Well, if that is all we got today, that is plenty. And that was wonderful. And I'm so excited for all this stuff because you've taken us into some places that I am excited to go because the being able to, I loved my microscope when I was a kid. I got, a cheapo used microscope, and I would look at herbs and spices under there. I'd look at, gunpowder. I'd look at anything. I'd look at dirt. I'd look at dust. I'd look at it all. And I put water. I put weeds. I put everything like you talked about. And it's always great to hear about Cece and what she's up to. And it's always good to talk to you. I don't care what the heck we talk about. It's a lot of fun. So thanks for coming on the show this morning, taking time out of what I know is a very, very stacked schedule and talking to us on the Fish Nerds.
Oh, always happy to, John. Thanks for having me.
All right. Wasn't that fun? I mean, fun stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, little microscopes, little fish tanks to do your microfishing and your
Fish what, John?
fish tanks,
Fish what?
tanks,
You're
man.
welcome. You're welcome.
Oh my God. You just can't be stopped. That's going to be a long-standing every time joke. So anyway, that was fantastic. Thank you, Doc Martin. Great gifts, the microscope, the suggestion for the lenses for your smartphone, just the the fish tanks.
You're welcome.
Tanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Move past it, John. Let it go.
All right.
I can't do it anymore.
I can't. Okay.
I'm broken,
move.
John. I'm broken.
Okay. All right. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to one of our favorite guys ever, the fish wrap writer, our own Todd Carrere. And he's got some best swag. Let's hear about it. Okay. I just have to put the whip finish on this one. And that'll be another dozen jigs all ready to go out for Christmas. Hey, what's that noise? Sounds like sleigh bells. What's that out the window? What is that? That looks like a sleigh. Pulled by 7 magical reindeer. They're red-eyed reindeer. Holy, one of them just blew chow and passed out. What does it say on the side of that sled? Sales tax unpayable. Who is that guy? Is that who? Santa? No, he's got a gigantic jigging spoon in his hat. He's grabbed a fishing rod. He's got some new boots on, but they're not Santa boots. He's in some sort of waterproof pants. He's coming in here with all kinds of stuff. He's heading for the door right now. Oh, what? Did he just throw a beer can down in my yard? Oh, well, he seems all right. I'm going to go ahead and let him in. Oh my gosh, look who landed in the studio. It's Santa Todd. Welcome to Glasswater Angling's World Headquarters Studios. Santa Todd, you've got some gift guide recommendations for our Fish Nerds listener, and I couldn't be more excited to have one of Santa's chief helpers in the studio tonight to help me with the gift guide for 2024. Brother, I am going to just turn this over to you. I got a couple things, but I read the gift guide, love reading Fish Wrap Writer. This is Todd Carrere, the Fish Wrap Writer. Please read his column at fishwrapwriter.com. All kinds of good stuff. We had a story earlier about trailers, and, that's a great read. And I just got my email notification for a new one that I'm going to read as soon as I can get to it. It's about how some striper fishing changed people's lives. I can believe that. It's changed my life. But anyway, Santa Todd, you are here with your crew of drunken reindeer and and the one person that's come to Kansas to visit, not just to go to the penitentiary, which is fabulous. So Santa Todd, take it away, brother. Let's hear about some of these fine products.
Oh my Lord, what an intro. I guess I'm supposed to say something like ho, 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 or something. I think.
Lady of the evening. We're politically correct here.
That's funny stuff. Oh, so all the way from the North Pole or South County, depending on how you look at it, where I am, every year we try to put together some of the best products we can find, and that have quality, have strength, have some lasting ability, that seem to fit right and seem to have some technology behind them. And it's actually pretty fun to kind of beat the heck out of some stuff and beat the crap out of some other stuff and find out if it works or not. So we'll just throw a couple items at you that we think they're pretty top notch. Fishermen, hikers, hunters, that kind of thing. Stuff that's going to last. That's most important to us. This stuff has to last. So I think, first of all, X braid is a braided line for fishing, and I've used braid for years and years and years. I've had some troubles over the years because sometimes striper fishing in the kayak, I use a lighter, like a 20-pound test, and it does tend to get wrapped around the tip of the rod if you're getting, you get into some heavy casting and stuff. So I tried this X8 20-pound braided line from X Braid, this new X8 line, which is now distributed by Daiwa, and part of some of the genius stuff, the science stuff is a little over my head, but the way they twist the raw threads, it creates this like high linear strength line with no twist. So if you picture a rubber band, if you stretch out a rubber band really far and then you kind of let it go back, it still looks like a rubber band, right? It's not all twisted up and knotted up. It looks like a rubber band. That's the concept behind this X8, that you can stretch it, pull it, twist it, put out a 20-pound bass. If you're made, then lose the 20-pound bass. It still holds up that nice straight line. So I thought the best way to test it, I put it on a Daiwa Saltus MQ 2500, which is a reel I tested last year, and it is it's just brilliant. It's a brilliant, it's a light 2500 is a pretty light reel, but you're kind of fishing for bass in the 5, 10, 15-pound range.
Well, I tell you, braid can give you fits, and I start off with Easy Braid, which is by Berkeley, I think, and it's what's called a long twist, and that's good to start with, but it degrades faster. And once it starts to do that, it really does want to get around the rod tip. It can drive you crazy working a underspin or overspin because it wants to get down in that split ring. Things like that, just little things. Now, quick question. Are we talking 20-pound strength or 20-pound diameter? What's the diameter on a 20-pound line with that X braid?
Now, why would you ask me a highly technical question like that? Flat-footed? No, it's like 4 inches around. I don't know. No, it's 20-pound test. So you pull it, it should hold to at least 20 pounds. And one of the brilliant parts about braid.
Okay.
Yeah, no, braid has great resistance because when you tighten a knot, the fibers work to your advantage. So if you put a blood knot there, or a surge's knot or improving a cinch knot, they hold really well. The downside to braid is that it doesn't have a lot of abrasion resistance. So if you're fishing like you're fishing for bass or rock bass, or tautog, you're in the rocks. When you're fishing mono, it has great resistance to rocks and being shredded, whereas braid can kind of come apart pretty easily. And another time when we're giving away free boxes of tissues, I'll tell you about all the fish I've lost by getting stuck in the rocks with braid. But the advantage of that braid is holding those knots and endless casts, and it lasts forever. If you forget to mono, I always changed every year my reels religiously. Braid, I don't, because I keep it clean, keep some fresh water out when you get back. The stuff lasts. So I put that in the Saltus, and then making the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the thing is, I want to get to the price of this stuff because the fact that it lasts is key. You can go out and spend $6 on 500 yards of cheapo mono, but like you say, it's going to degrade. You're going to be changing that stuff 2 or 3 times over a season. What are we going to have to give for this X braid?
So, with the caveat that from having decades of fishing experience catching and losing fish, which I like to call releasing, even though it's probably losing them, X braid's worth the money, and it's an investment. You've got like I'm fishing the American Beauty rod made by Rosie, right? Woo! Rosie made this amazing rod for me. The price is sort of irrelevant, and then you put on this Saltus 2500, which is a brilliant reel. I mean, money's always an issue, but when you're investing in going fishing and hopefully catching some nice fish and making memories, X8. Well, you can buy different size spools, right? You can get it in 300 or 500 yard spools. I think 330 yard spool, maybe say 20-pound test is about $45.
All right. I mean, look, your line is your connection to the fish, plain and simple. All right. So if you're catching the kind of fish you catch, they're big and you have nice equipment. And one reason you pay for nice equipment is to avoid equipment failure. So I trust you, Santa Todd. If you say it's an investment, then by golly, I'm gonna have to go with you.
Well, now and think about this: if you save $10, you got a little different kind of line that's almost as good, and you save $10. When you part that line and you lose that fish, the $10 is irrelevant. I mean, right?
Right. You're gonna need $10 worth of beer just to get over the pain, and it probably ain't gonna happen.
Exactly. So what did you save? You saved nothing and you gave yourself a heartache. So I mean, from my testing, I've always had very good luck with Dio products, and I've tested many different reels and lines over the years. I've always had good luck with their stuff. The Saltus line is phenomenal reels as far as I'm concerned. Can't go wrong with a Rosie rod and fly shop rod, but spend the money on the X8. You know, if it's 20 or 30 pounds, that's my recommendation. It's going to last. Keep it clean, wash it off when you're done, and you'll get a couple years out of it.
Sounds fantastic. Now, how about some boots, man? I like boots. You like boots. You got more boots than your wife has shoes, according to you. What are we doing here? What do we got? You got some boots for us. Let's hear about them.
It's funny you say that because I give my lovely wife a lot of grief about all her shoes, but the boot boxes are starting to almost get as tall as the shoe boxes. So this year, I test drove 2 different kinds of boots that I've had over the years I've tested from both these companies, and no failures. Garmin makes the new line is the 9.81 alert boots. Garmin makes boots that are used a lot by the military and by the police. They're very form fitting. They're a little snug. They're a little tight. They can be a little hard to get into because they fit you really well, but they're really strong, breathable boots. And one of the comments I made in my review is that I don't think if I was going to go hike a mountain, I'd wear the 981 alerts, but I'd work all day and then go for a hike in them. You know, they're really versatile. And this particular one is not waterproof, but they breathe really well. They're snug. And, you know, quickest story ever. I reviewed a pair of boots them last year, and I wore the things for like a month, and I forgot to do the review because they're so comfortable. I forgot I was even wearing them. I forgot I was supposed to be paying attention to all this stuff because there's no break-in, like they didn't leak, they didn't tear, they didn't fall apart. So this one I did a little better job of keeping my notes because they're great boots.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not super expensive. They do run a little small. So if you go with Garmin, just, you know, pay attention to, I would maybe go like a half size larger or something, but super good. And they're like everyday boots. I mean, I wear them all the time.
Well, fabulous, fabulous. And I also know what you do for a living. You're a construction guy out there building our roadways. You're a supervisor. So you're walking here, walking there, out in the weather, outdoors for fun, outdoors for work, on your feet. So a recommendation from you carries a lot of weight with me.
Well, I appreciate that. So when you get on the boat, Grundens, I'm a huge Grundens fan only because Grundens makes, I think that's one company that has seamlessly bridged the gap from recreational to commercial, although they were commercial first. So you can reverse that from commercial to recreational. When I was a kid working on a fish boat and a lobster boat, in a tuna fish boat, whatever, everybody wore Grundens. That's just what you wore. I mean, there wasn't really, I don't even know if there was anything else. That's just what you wore. So I tested out this pair of their new Deck Runner boots. They are, it's a pretty popular style. They're like over the ankle size. They're kind of a couple of cool colors. Almost everybody in a boat now has a pair of this style of, dock boot or deck boot, whatever you want to call it. But I really liked them because they're easy to put on, and I blew my knee out this year. So I've been hobbling around. I can actually get these boots on without wincing. They're super comfortable. They're super waterproof. They've got these ortholite inserts. It's basically, you're basically running rubber boot. And the day I took them out to test them for the first time, it was classic Rhode Island. It's going to blow 5 to 10 with a little bit of clouds. It blew like 25 to 30 and it rained the whole time.
Oh,
it was the forecast was so far off. It wasn't even funny, but I wore them the whole time. And with this knee that I still had not admitted was blown out, I was up on the front deck of the boat in a sea, striper fishing, wearing these boots. And I mean, I was solid as a rock. And, the weather was lousy. It just got dark as a pocket. It got really windy, but I was able to stand up in the bow and take my turn catching bass. So, I'm a big Grundens fan, and I think they definitely are worth their value. They're definitely worth, the investment, and it's short money for considering the boot's going to last a long time.
Well, it sounds fantastic. And listen, we will have all the links and such. That we're going to have the links in the show notes for y'all if these products interest you, because gift giving is just the time to go a little extra. And, once again, we're talking about safety. We're talking about the quality that allows you to enjoy your recreation to the fullest. Now, I'm Crappie Hippie. I'm the guy that ain't got a dime. I'm jingling a nickel and a nail in my pocket. And I got a pair of boots that I can highly recommend because I go through knee highs like nobody's business.
Awesome.
Until now. And I came across the Dunlop Chesapeake. They didn't send these to me. I was just so exasperated about buying knee highs and then throwing them away every year because something's wrong. The Dunlop Chesapeake is ones I bought off of Amazon. And while I hate to support a weird sociopath billionaire, I do buy a few things off Amazon. It's a real nice PVC boot that stays supple in the cold. So I use them, walking the dog. I use them, go down and fish in the pond and this and that. Now they are just plain rubber boots, and we know in the bitter cold that's not maybe not what you want to be doing. But you buy these for your kid, you buy these for yourself, you buy these because hey, I don't need hippers, I don't need chesties, I don't need any of that. I just need to be able to get offshore a few feet to land a fish, net a fish, untangle something, whatever. These will get you there, and you can hike through the woods and back, and you won't come home with a big hole in the side. But I love the suppleness because I can just leave these out in the unheated back porch. I can just slip right into them. I had a pair of Tinglies that got so darn stiff. I mean, they were actually putting bruises on my shins. Okay. And when they finally split open, I was just like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that happened. Anyway, these are $28.80. Of course, Amazon has that crazy pricing. They may be more or less tomorrow, depending on the demand. But I bought them a size up so I could get in and out of them. Now, I launch my boat. If I go into mud over my ankle, I'm fine. Now, the one time gar fishing with Jeff, where I went into where the mud was 3/4 of the way up the boot, they pulled off. And I had to crawl back in and get them. But I defy you to find a boot, fancy or non, that can will stay on your foot in that nonsense. Maybe so, and good for them, but that'll probably cost you, $100, $150 or whatever. Anyway, the Dunlop Chesapeake off Amazon. If you're looking for a good budget boot, they've got a nice cotton liner in there. They just have some of these extras that make for a more comfortable knee high. So whether you're slopping hogs or chasing hogs, get yourself a pair of Dunlop boots for you or somebody you love, and they'll be glad they got them.
So my question is, did you just make that expression up? Chasing hogs or slopping hogs, or is that you've been waiting for that? That's pretty good. I got to use it.
Well, do use it. I'm from Kansas, dude. I mean, I go to a farm auction and half everybody's in rubber boots. They just, and they. Oh
yeah, that's true.
We stand in a lot of manure around here. It's just something we do.
I know there's a joke in there somewhere, but yeah, okay. Okay. So let's see. So speaking of Grundens, as you know, I mean, I've known you for quite a while now. I fish a lot in a kayak, and I'm always by myself. 9 times out of 10, I'm by myself. And 8 out of 10 times I'm by myself at night. So anything I take with me has got to work, or else, either it's going to be a complete failure or I'm going to get hurt. So I came across these Grundens full share pants. I had a pair a couple years ago. Full share is like it's got a membrane on the inside. It's waterproof on the outside. Good deep pockets, Velcro closures. They're a little tight in the hip. I'm not a big guy, but I do recommend going a half a size bigger. The pants fit really nicely. The hips, the waist is a little bit tight, but I also like to drink beer. So it may be on me. It may be on it may not be Grundens. It may be on me. So this year they came out with this CSA full share, which has some reflective material at the bottom, down by the ankles. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. If you're going surf casting at night, or you're going to walk down a beach at night, or you're going to be in the woods at night, that little bit of that reflectivity, or retro reflectivity is the correct word. CSA is a rating of safety apparel and the amount of retro reflective trim it has. So that's why they call them the CSA full share pant. But I love them. I got a pair of these. I absolutely love them. They're super strong. I have not pierced them. I have not cut them. I can, work with my hands. I can use a knife, whatever. They have held up. The other pair is a couple years old, and even these new ones I put through the ringer already, and they're super good. They've got strong zippers. They've got closures down at the ankle, so you don't get as much water up. God forbid something should happen. So, from the fish wrap desk, they are the Grundens full share pants are winners for sure. I'm a huge fan of them, and they got tested this year and they passed. We'll have to get you a pair of those.
I would love to have that kind of stuff. I mean, there are the people that are cry once, buy a quality product. The good old days, the good old construction where,
sure,
you can hand them down, or you can, if you want to get some new ones just cause, well, then you can give them off to somebody that needs them and so forth. Some good gear out there to get secondhand. Already, I'm just sailing away, especially the surf casting thing. Now, we don't do much of that in Kansas, but I fish plenty of riprap dams, riprap breakwaters and so forth. And it blows a lot in Kansas. And I remember the last time I was out there, I was soaked clear up to my chin from waves hitting the shore. I'm standing there, water slopping into my boots, and I'm wet all the way up to the crotch. And I would have loved to have some of those paints.
Well, see, there you go. So you take those Dunlop boots, right? You get a pair of full share pants. Now you feel like you're comfortable. You got deep pockets. You can put your keys in there or whatever you want. Grundon sells, but you can make them yourself if you want to. But they you put a little rubber band around the bottom, which decreases the chance of water going up. So when you go looking down at that pond at night, you got the boots that you love, you got pants you love. Like that stuff's off your mind. You're comfortable. You feel pretty safe. You're not worrying about what you're wearing. That's worth money right there. As my young son would say, those are facts. Those are facts, man. Right? Facts. That's what he says.
That's right. That's right. All right, brother. We're having way too much fun. We're going to have to step this up a little bit. I'm watching the old clock on the wall, and it's getting a little short on us. Give me another one. Let me
run a quick, and then we got to talk about a quick book. So in the back, I've got a Chevy Silverado. In the back of it, I have a big rubber mat. You can throw anything on. My kayak goes in there, boots, everything. I've had it for years. It's one of those things like you spend the money and then you don't think about it because it just kind of works, and that's the end of it. So Husky Liners, who makes that bed liner, called me up and said, let's give these a try. So there's front and rear liners for your truck. And you pick the make, model, the cab size, that kind of thing. These things were so perfectly cut that fortunately this is on, radio, not on TV. You can't see me how embarrassed I am. I had these things upside down, inside out, sideways, wrong side of the car, because they're so perfectly fit that I couldn't figure out where they went. Like the back when I had it upside down, I had to turn around. Then it was like, all right, stop. Just think about what you're doing. The back one that runs the little hump where the transmission is, and the front, they fit perfectly. And they got little channels in them. I have a clamshell driveway. I don't have a paved driveway. So every time I get in or out of my truck, there's clamshells falling around. These things, like they held the clamshells, the water's in them, the mud, the water. I got a big old bulldog, like you throw a wet dog in there. They are Husky Liners nailed it. You make sure that you pick out the right make model of your vehicle, and they have built these liners. You don't even know they're there. They're so perfectly fit. Again, it's one of those things, like you spend a few bucks and it also protects the undercarriage of your truck, and you don't get water on the carpet. And then 10 years down the road, you go to sell your vehicle and everything looks immaculate under them. So that's worth money right there.
No, Husky Liners, I've heard of these things.
The new line is called the Exact Contour Floor Liners. Can't be beat, man. Can't be beat.
Once again, another investment product that's going to keep your gear functioning well, looking good, thinking ahead to resale value, whatever the heck you think about. I just think about not having the wife yelling at me because there's all kinds of crap in the car. So whatever you're
spent, man. Money well spent
right there. Happy wife, happy life.
Amen.
All right, brother. Hit me with another one.
Okay, so the gear and gift guide, it's always fun. We do all kinds of boots and outdoor gear and all this stuff. But this year we brought in a book, and it's written by Noel Vick. Noel Vick is the president of Traditions Media. It's a company I'm very fond of. They're out in Minnesota. They represent, it's a marketing company. They represent a lot of really cool outdoor companies. And Noel wrote this book called All Fish Are Awesome. And I'm telling you, so I'm an old man. I know I look a lot like Santa Claus. I read this book. I was laughing and giggling like a little kid. It gives you a view of fish. Obviously it's meant for children, but adults need to have this book. It gives you a view of fish that shows you how important they are. So like if you've never caught a bullhead and you don't really care about a bullhead, all of a sudden there's information on a bullhead that makes you love them. And there's panfish, there's bluegills, and there's big saltwater fish, and it gives you this great variety of fish and how important they all are to the ecosystem, how important they are to other people. Maybe you don't value them just as much, but you should, because other people do. And I really hope that Noel goes ahead and writes a few more books in this vein, because you'll learn a lot about fish and you'll also giggle at. I mean, the illustrations are beautiful, and Noel Vick from Traditions Media really nailed this book. And I believe it's his first book, and it's a total winner, and it's an awesome gift. And when you give it to somebody for Christmas, to a little kid, I guarantee the parents will be reading it 10 minutes after they get it.
That is one fantastic mini review right there. I love it. I am all for getting these sorts of books into kids' hands. When I was a kid, this is the kind of thing I would have just ate up with both hands. And then, of course, that is the key to a lot of things right now here in the more modern age, is if the way parents are really wanting to be involved with the kids and vice versa. So when my daughter read Harry Potter, I read Harry Potter. And when, she got into Series of Unfortunate Events or whatever, any kind of a book that she would read, I'd want to read too. And books that can be shared and hold a parent's interest, because some things are written in a kind of a condescending, childish way that puts parents off. It may be okay for kids, or it's so laced with vernacular and the latest verbiage and so forth that parents feel outsider. They get cut off. They can't get into it.
There's no Latin in this book. It doesn't make you don't have to be a PhD to read it. You also don't have to be a 1-year-old to get it. It also it kind of gives you an introduction to conservation, because all these fish have value. And like it says, all fish are awesome. So if you've been fishing with your dad and you're catching little largemouth bass and that's not what you want, so you're throwing them up in the bank because you don't care about them. You want a bullhead. It kind of teaches you no, man, put that fish back. That fish is important. It has value to other people and other fishes, and it has a family, and put it back in the water. So, there's a pretty sublime little message in there too.
Well, that's fantastic, because I tell you, I'm about halfway to going to war with Kansas over gar, because they are fine game fish. They are undervalued. They're considered a trash fish by way too many people around here. And the ethic of all fish are awesome. Right there. You got me. With the title, and I'm on board. I am on board.
Amen.
All right. What else you got, big man?
So I went to a friend of mine, Ralph Kraft, who owns a tackle store. He makes custom fishing rods here in Rhode Island, Crafty One Customs. Ralph's a genius. I love the man to death. He's an Army vet. Thank him for his service. I said, Ralph, what do you got? Show me your new rod. What's the new thing? And he said, hey, look at these. And it's a local made fishing lure, which is classic Ralph. He just dodged any sort of self-admiration kind of thing, and he went right to a product he carries. Point chewed lures are the company's based in Rhode Island, and they're jigs. He's made his name in the tuna offshore market, but you can catch stripers, you can catch bluefish, you can catch all kinds of native species on these deep forests. So it's a fun, and if you say you're looking for a present for someone that that goes saltwater fishing, this is a pretty good way to support a local company. Ralph carries the whole line of different patterns and ounces, and green mackerel and pearl and sardine half beak and mac herring pearl, all the different varieties. But it's a good way to support a local company who makes a jig, a lure that really works and is proven to work, that people are very fond of, especially when a guy who owns a tackle shop gets a chance for some free media and he points him right to this lure. So point chewed lures, great stuff. You can get them at Crafty One Customs. I'm sure they're available in all kinds of tackle shops all around New England. But I went to my friend Ralph Kraft, and that's where this one started.
All right, Crafty One Custom. And we got a website. We'll have that down in the show notes if you want to get one. Please describe these jigs, because I know you salt guys, a diamond-shaped piece of lead is a jig.
Sure. The Point Chewed Lure Company has been doing this since, I think, 46, maybe, something like that. Basically, the concept's pretty cool. They're pointed on one end, a little rounded on the bottom, shiny. Some of them come with different colors on them: blues, chartreuse, pinks, greens, silvers. The hook size will depend on what the species that you're after, if it's a tuna or a bluefish or a striper or whatever. And then sometimes there's some other bling, some tassels in there. And they basically work on a wobble and a flutter. So if you drop it down to the bottom, it has a particular way of falling. Some swing side to side, some are faster, some are slower. When you bring it back up for the retrieve, then you get the same you get a different action, but for the same reason. It has a particular way of coming back up. A lot of that mimics injured fish. So, a predator fish will be more inclined to go after a weaker or injured fish because it's more efficient to go swipe up, a fish that can't get away. So the point chewed lures are kind of based on that principle of looking like an injured fish or a really fast swimming fish. If you cast it out off the back of stern of a boat and you want to retrieve it real quickly, that has that wobble, that wiggle, that's what'll catch the fish's eye. They're pretty smart. They're not just the old codfish jigs. Just don't drop them over the side and give them a little wiggle and pull them back up.
Well, it sounds fantastic. So we're basically talking a sort of a diamond style jig, where jigs and spoons kind of meet.
Yeah. Yes. And these are heavier and longer. Well, there's different weights, but it's longer, more elongated. And I think originally he was trying to catch bluefin tuna with them, and it worked. So if you cast it, if you jig it, slow or fast, it all depends on what the bite is and the hook size on the other end. Really, really smart stuff. You're also, you're using some pretty modern technology with a concept that goes back to the guys hand lining in George's Bank out of Dory's. It's that same concept. So pretty smart stuff.
Sounds fantastic. And I think the bottom line answer on this is just get to the website, have a look at one, and I bet you'll be satisfied that if you're fishing the way Todd fishes, you're going to want some of these. Hand lining. Was that
Hand
segue
lining.
on purpose? Are you being cute?
Well, I do my best, man.
Well, you
A
can't
guy
help
who
but-
looks like Santa Claus, it's hard to look cute. Let me tell you.
Yeah, you look very cute. You are Santa Claus. You're Santa Todd. And
That's what Rosie calls me, Santa Todd.
let's talk about some hand lining, because Glasswater Angling got a great account with Daggerfish Gear. And Daggerfish is a company that sells all kinds of stuff for hikers and backpackers who want to forage for food in the wild. And they have all kinds of little places like little holders for your knives, little pouches and this and that for collecting your mushrooms and your ramps and your this and that. But they also make some incredibly fun hand line, what they call reels, hand line reels. Now, you guys do hand lining. You're like, well, I can wrap it around a plastic pop bottle, or I can, use a
Sure.
beer can, or I can use a whatever. Sure, a found object takes it back to the beginnings, but you want a little upscale thing? Check out Daggerfish Gear at daggerfishgear.com. They have these really, really nice hand line reels. The handle is hollowed out, Todd. So you've got a stopper on the top, you got a stopper on the bottom. You've got storage inside the handle of this hand line reel. So in there, you're going to find some lead-free glasswater jig heads. And because Adam Nelson, the founder of the company, the owner of the company, wanted to go lead-free from the get-go, so they came to us, and they're using that as their jig heads, but they've got some weights in there that I helped him find, some nice split shots. He's also got a trout bubble. He's got a little float. He's got a couple of trout magnets in there, trout magnet tails to string on the dart head jigs that we make for him. It's a fun thing. Okay. Now, the straight maple one, which is the one I got, runs about $45. Then you can get to a figured maple, which takes you up about another $15. In between, you have the wild cherry, which is a gorgeous little handle. And then if you want to really get fancy pantsy, they've got a black walnut that runs about like $95. But this is upscale stuff. This is fun stuff. And then they make a saltwater one out of a wood I've never heard of. But talking about hand lining in the salt, it's a thing, right? It's a thing. And it's just something that'll fit in your pocket. It'll fit in your backpack. It'll fit in the glove box of your car. I had a ball with these over the summer. Okay. First of all, there is a learning curve there if you've never hand lined with a hand line reel before. And on their website, they've got these guys either doing the lasso cast where you spin it over your head like you're a cowboy, or
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
How do you do
baby.
that?
Yeah, baby. Or you do the softball pitch where you wind up on the side and throw it out there.
Okay.
But you can also just do the granny swing where you just swing it a couple times and then throw it out. Because when I first used it the first time, caught, I don't know, a dozen bluegill. It was a lot of fun. And, that's what I used because that's what I could manage. And then I took it and started practicing the yard and so forth. Now it comes with some line strung on it and it's good line, but I'm probably going to switch mine out for some extra limp, probably some, Trilene XL, probably about, somewhere between 4 and 8 pound test. But you don't want to back all that line off that reel because there's plenty on there. You want to keep that spool full. I would not switch to braid on this because you are hand lining and braid will cut your fingers off. Why do you think all these guys wear fingerless gloves? Okay. Yeah. Todd's proudly showing all his fingers. Yeah. Because he doesn't hand line with braid and don't do it, but use that mono. But you may want to switch it off to a little bit of a limper one. Although I used what came with the reel. It was not coiled on there spring tight, like when you buy a kiddie rod for your child for Christmas. And then that line comes off there like an old style telephone cord. And the kids are like, what the hell are you talking about? Phones had cords. Yes, they did. And it was a spiral like a slinky. They still make that toy. And
Yes.
It's not like that. It's a lot of fun. You can get fishing with. The point is you can get fishing with this immediately. And I don't care whether you're going for some bluegill. I don't care whether you're standing over a beautiful little stream fishing for some brookies. I don't care if you want to catch some bass. You'll figure a way to have some fun with this reel. And they sell a streamer kit and they have some other items. You'll be definitely cramming both ends of that handle full of your own stuff. It is just an outstanding gift to get somebody that wants to just have a fun little thing. I mean, get 2 or 3 of them, and all of you go out in the backyard and learn to cast and have a laugh and enjoy each other's company, and then head on over to the local brook. If you're having fun on a small body or even a larger body, you're out in a boat, drop this over the side for crappie. It's a winner. Okay.
Right on.
Tell you another thing I want people to try with this thing is ice fishing. It's an ice fishing fun time thing. And
There you
if
go.
you ever, yes, sir. And if you ever do what we call, or what some people call, trout hole fishing, where you put the mat down, you lay on your belly, you cover yourself up with a blanket and a tarp, and you make it real dark, and you watch down through the hole, and then you drop a hand line down in front of the trout.
Yeah, you
Great way
guys,
to do this.
you got
It's
a lot
great way to do
more. You got a lot more free time out there than we do. That whole laying down on a blanket with something over your head.
Hey, I didn't get this. We don't get the ice in Kansas. I got this off the late, great John Gierach, who, when he was younger, used to do this, talked about how the pad was essential so you don't end up stuck to the ice and so on. And it's hardcore. It's hardcore, but you hand line when you use this technique. And we had a Fish Nerds episode. You go on the website, you just search Vermont, and you will get the episode on the ice fishing in Vermont. And they have First Nation guest who talks about how ice fishing before all this modern stuff came along, and you build a little mini kind of wiki up that you could lay down in. The point is, you want to get it dark. You want to be able to see down the hole, and it's really tight quarters. So you can't even use a little tiny ice fishing rod. You got to use a hand line. And if you're going to go to all that trouble, you might as well have a nice wooden hand line, simple hand line, and do a little trout hole fishing. If you want to do that, you can do it with this. This is what I highly recommend. But a million ways to use these, a million ways to have fun with them. But especially if you're a hiker, backpacker type person, and you want to go up in those White Mountains, or you want to go up in the Green Mountains, or if you want to go up in the mountains of Rhode Island, I don't know where they are.
Neither do I.
But the point is, small water, big water, this thing is a lot of fun. Get one. Daggerfishgear.com. Get yourself a daggerfish hand line fishing reel.
Right on.
All right, big man. Thank you for coming in tonight. The reindeer are hungry. You got to get out there with your bucket of oats. And
you love the Santa Claus stuff, don't you? You just love the Santa Claus stuff.
Blame Rosie. She turned me on to it. You are her Santa Todd. So
we do love that Rose.
We do love that
Santa
Rosie.
Todd. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Santa Todd is her hero right next to the main guy. And well, anyway, get in your sled, get on back to Rhode Island, get in your kayak tomorrow and go out and catch some striped bass. And thanks one more time for coming in tonight.
Hey, man, I love being here. Thank you. This is a real treat. It's good to spend some time with you. Thank you.
Ho, 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 who would it go? Ho, 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 who would it go? Up on the housetop, pick, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick.
All right. A lot of cool stuff there, my brother. What do you think?
It's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of great stuff.
That's a lot of stuff. I couldn't make a list that good.
Well, he is our influencer guy that gets a lot of good stuff. But hey, what about my story on the daggerfish? The daggerfish handline reels. These fancy wooden handline reels. I mean, I think they'd be so fun for ice fishing.
I'm so in on the daggerfish. And you're right. Like that. Maybe I'll try it.
Well, it would be great. I mean,
I'll
the guy
report
that runs the company is an absolute dream, and it's great stuff. When I got that account, he sent me one, so I went out and used it, and they're just plain fun to fool with.
They look like a blast, and they can hold the jigs right inside them.
Yeah, you got everything. So you just remember the old pocket fisherman. Are you old enough to remember that?
John, I have some. They had them at Home Depot on sale for Christmas about 7 years ago here, and they were $9.99 a piece, and I bought about 7 of them. So I've got a little closet full of them somewhere.
Well, this takes, you can hand fish with a pop bottle, or you can use a pocket fisherman, but this is so great because it really, really does just go right in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, let's finish this gift review segment up with one of my favorite people. She is a gift to the world. Let's hear from Rosie Clifton and her reviews for Fishyware.
There is but one 10-year-old superpower fashion diva that always creates a sensation when she is on the water. So join us now as this icon of style shares her secrets for looking great when you're participating in your favorite outdoor activities.
Hey, Fish Nerd Nation. Next on the list we have coming up here, Rosie Clifton of Rosie's Rod and Fly Shop. She is our official kid correspondent here on the Fish Nerds, and she has a review for Christmas for you. She is now a pro for Fishyware, which is a company that makes apparel, outdoor apparel for women. And I asked her to come and do some reviews and talk about it because she's been wearing it in her social media. It's good looking stuff. I visited the website. And Rosie, let's talk about Fishyware. What do you say?
Yes, of course. I love it.
She does love it, and she looks great in it. She's wearing some right now. I'm sorry that this is an audio medium where you cannot see how absolutely stunning she is this morning, but it's a lot of fun stuff. Now, I want to get into something first, just because I want to talk to you about the impact that women and girls have had on the sport of fishing and how they have changed, literally changed the way fishing looks. Because just to generalize, and I know this is kind of unfair to generalize, but men tend to be more into drab, gray, green, black, just kind of average stuff. Okay. And outside of the occasional Hawaiian shirt or something like that, guys wear the same colors all the time, the same styles all the time. They're just kind of the same. Where we kind of have a kind of a group behavior pattern there where one dog in the pack wants to look like the rest of the dogs in the pack. But I love the way that women's apparel has added to the sport. Yeah, I love your sense of style. How does Fishyware fit into your sense of style?
Well, I love lots of bright, nice colors. I really enjoy patterns, like cool fish patterns on my clothing, because it just feels really nice. It looks really nice.
It does look really nice, and I love the patterns. You hit it right there on the head. When we first met, you told me one of your favorite patterns was a pink and purple, like camo. What was the name of that camo that you like so much?
Muddy Girl.
Muddy Girl. The Muddy Girl
camo.
Muddy Girl camo. And I see your kayak is colorful. Your hats are colorful. You're just bringing it. You're just bringing it. Okay, so right now, Fishyware, and that is FISHEWEAR, Fishyware. Just in exchange for your email, they'll give you 20% off on your first purchase, which is really, really awesome. So let's say one of our listeners wants to get some Fishyware, either for herself, or maybe it's a dad that wants to buy some cool stuff to show his daughter how cool he can be. What does Rosie recommend from Fishyware?
Well, I recommend trying out all the tools such as forceps or nippers. I also recommend the nice clothing, such as the Enchanted Grayling Backcast Sun Shirt, which is $79.
Okay.
And, of course, the Unbound Brown Fleece Vest, which is on sale for $58. And I also recommend Rainbow Ridge Patch Beanie, $35. And they all look really nice.
They do look really nice. I see that you are wearing. What are you wearing right now? Which item are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing the Enchanted Grayling Backcast Sun Shirt,
Okay.
which is my favorite part. It has thumb holes. Love it.
Awesome. Got the thumb holes. That is fantastic. That keeps the sleeves from riding up on you when you're active and busy. Help me with that name real quick. What's the name of that? Say it slow and say it real clear for me because I'm an old man.
Enchanted Grayling Backcast Sun Shirt.
Okay, the Enchanted Grayling Backcast Sun Shirt. It looks fabulous. Now, you said it's got the thumb holes in the sleeves. Keep the sleeves down. That's fantastic.
It protects it from the sun also. It has SPF 50.
SP 50. So that's sun protection 50 grade. So that is going to keep you from getting sunburned. You've got the thumb holes to keep the sleeves down. All right. So you won't come home with the front third of your arm sunburned because your sleeve kept riding up all day long. Right. And you're going to look fantastic. You look absolutely fantastic in it. And so it's functional. It's cool. It's beautiful. It's lively. I just love it. All right, Rosie, I love this hat with the fish on it. Let's talk about that hat. Give me the name one more time, please.
Rainbow Ridge Patch Beanie.
Rainbow Ridge Catch Me?
Patch Beanie.
Patch Me?
Patch Beanie.
Patch Beanie. Okay. Okay, so that's the Rainbow Ridge Patch Beanie. And I love the patch. Kind of a trout looking thing on there. Is that what we're looking at? Kind of a trout.
Rainbow Ridge Trout.
A Rainbow Ridge Trout. And that beanie looks really warm. Is it warm?
Very. It's
And-
melting my head.
Well, and be honest, I tell you, I have trouble with beanies. Not just because my head's kind of lopsided and the logo tends to slide around to the side. Okay. But also they just tend to ride up until all of a sudden I wonder why my ears are cold and the thing's about to fall off because it rides up, and you can see why they call it a toque, because it ends up looking like a chef's hat kind of because it rides up so high. How is the Rainbow Ridge? Does that stay on your head pretty good?
Yeah. It's also
when
really
you-
comfortable.
Stays on well, very comfortable, good. So when you're out doing chores and you bend over, your hat just doesn't fall off like some of my beanies. Okay. Well, it's a great color, nice navy color. I really love the look of it, and nice and warm. So absolutely worth every penny on that beanie, because if it doesn't ride up, then I'm sold. I may just have to get one myself. I don't care if it's girls only. Try and stop me. All right. All righty. One more product you had up there. Let's talk about that last one.
The Unbound Brown Fleece Vest.
The Unbound Brown Fleece Vest.
Mhm.
That sounds toasty and comfy.
It's very. I love how soft it is.
Oh,
And
wow.
it also has millions of pockets. There is 5 pockets in it.
5 pockets. That's fantastic. I mean, I like to travel light. I know you're a kayaker. I'm a shore fisher mainly. So we can't carry just tons and tons of tackle boxes. So we need pockets. We need ways to carry stuff around as we walk or as we paddle our small craft. So that sounds like a fantastic vest. And when you're doing the layers, a vest is absolutely essential as to what you need. I love that high-rise collar on that vest because that keeps the wind from creeping down your neck and getting in your clothes and sneaking in on you. And it's a lot warmer to have something you can kind of hunch down and bring that insulation up to your chin. Awesome stuff. Okay, so why do you think it's important to have good fashion for fishers?
Well, it makes them feel really good. Like, it also looks nice, but also feels nice. Also, it makes them feel confident.
Ups the confidence. Do you think it makes women want to try out fishing when they say a woman out there fishing and she looks so darn good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, some people say, oh, well, it's girly schmirly. Women can just wear anything. Do you agree with that?
No.
Good for you. All right. Because we all have a sense of identity, right? And there's nothing wrong with looking the way you want to look, feeling pretty, or feeling the way you want to feel. I want to feel comfortable. You know, my look is different than your look. I would be shocked to see you show up in a dirty old hat and a secondhand sweatshirt and holes in your jeans and all the rest of that stuff. But that's my deal. That's me. I'm kind of just a country guy, a simple guy, and that's how I like to dress, and that's how I like to feel, and that's what's comfortable for me. And that's, you know, my image and my look, like it or not. And I think it's amazing. And I think it's wonderful to have all these great products. And I mean it. You can get on that Fishy Wear site and knock yourself out at all the beautiful clothes they make.
May I also say something else?
Of course you can. Go ahead.
If people who hear this podcast want to try and get some fishy wear for themselves, if they want to get 15% off, then the end of their checkout, they can put in our code Rosie's Gear.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's 15% off.
Yep.
That is absolutely fantastic. So we got a promo code for you, everybody. Hit them again with that promo code.
Rosie's Gear.
Rosie's Gear. So at the end of your purchase, you put in the promo code Rosie's Gear and you get 15% off your purchase, because our kid correspondent is an influencer for fishy wear, dude. It is so fantastic. Okay, so right now, if you want to buy some stuff and you want to give them your email and sign up and register as a customer, they'll give you 20%. If you don't want to do that, or you come back to get some more stuff later, put in that promo code Rosie's Gear and you will get 15% off your purchase. Well, good grief. Aren't you one of Santa's best little elves ever to come in here with me this morning and talk about this fine product line? Oh, Rosie, that is fantastic. What are you trying to show me right there?
This is the Enchanted Grayling Flybox.
Wait, the Enchanted Grayling Flybox. That is fantastic. I love the art on that thing. So what do you like about the Enchanted Grayling Flybox?
Well, obviously, I love the outside. I love the pattern on it. And also, I love that inside it's got a lot of room.
Got a lot of room on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That'll hold a lot of flies. That's another thing about fly fishing. You know, if you want to carry 1,000 lures and you're a bass fisher, you need a gigantic box. But if you want to carry a few hundred flies, that is exactly what you need.
Indeed.
And I think I heard your mom say that runs $35.
Yep.
And that is worth every penny because I love the clasp on it. It's not going to come open. And you lay that down in the grass and you're going to be able to find it. A lot of these boxes that come in green, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? You know, green, brown, you know, I've lost it already. You know, I set it down and I can't find it. But that one is one you won't forget. And that is one you won't lose. Well, the Enchanted Grayling Fly Box, definitely put that in your plan. Give that a look when you go over to Fishyware. It's just always good to see you, Rosie. Anything else for the listeners?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. I do indeed. All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Rosie. I can't wait for the time we get to go fishing together.
Yep. I can't wait either.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. That's sweet. All righty. You have a great day. Go out and play. Go out and do your thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you soon. All right. Not only is she adorable, but she is a fashion icon.
Truly. John, have you ever been a fashion icon?
No.
No, neither. It's so sad.
If I ever saw Tan Franz walking down the street, I'd go the other way.
Right.
All right. You know something, Clay? These fine folks been listening to us talk about fishing and fishing gifts and outdoor stuff when they could have been out fishing. We'd like to thank.
Well, John, let me do a little something here. I'm gonna do a little thank you.
All right, do it.
This is important. So, John, I want to thank you for being part of this show. There was a space about 6 months ago where I was ready to put this show to bed, and you kicked my ass and made me keep the show going. And I'm very glad for it, and I appreciate you for it, and I thank you for it. This show exists today because you made it keep going, and I'm going to keep it going for you.
Well, you are very welcome, but it's been a labor of love, so I don't want too much thanks because I only do something like this because I want to, man, because I'm having fun doing it.
Yep.
And I don't know what it is about you, man. You're like my little brother. You are a little brother because sometimes you can be irritating as hell.
That's true. 100%.
But I can only say that because we're like family, and I love you like family. It's been a great experience. You have had so many people attracted to this show and so many great, fun people come in and, you know, the show evolves. It evolves and people come and people go and I've got to go now. I got to go. But like Frosty, hopefully I'll be back again someday.
Look at that Frosty go.
There we go. You know, and, you know, I'll be back again someday.
Oh, John, thank you. I'm going to let you close the show up by yourself. I got to get some family stuff done.
We'd like to thank Wally Pleasant for our theme music, Diana's Bath Salts for the music that leads in and out of Fish in the News, the Mysterious Baitcaster Cylinder for the theme music for our culinary corner pieces, Jammy Jams and the Jingle Punks for our Christmas intros and outros for the pieces done by our correspondents, Audionautics for that edgy carol of the bells that's in Rosie's piece, Jeff Dannaldson, Doc Martin, Todd Correa, as well as Rosie and Jeanette Clifton. Also our families for putting up with our endless nonsense. But most of all, you, the listener, for bringing your ears right on in here and letting us fill them up with fish stuff. The Fish Nerds podcast is the creation of Dave Kellum and Clay Groves. Clay Groves is our host and the chief executive fish nerd. John Crappie Hippie King is our producer and co-host. Our associate producers are Jeff, the fish nerd librarian Dannaldson, Todd, the fish wrap writer Correa, Tim Tacklebox Beat, and managing this small herd of elfin miscreants is our beautiful Christmas queen, Doc Martin. Thank you all one last time. It has been an amazing journey. All right,
man, I love you, and I'm thank you for being part of this.
Hey, love you back. Remember to follow the code of the Fish Nerds.
Spawn early and often.
Never take a free lunch with strings attached.
And swim against the current every chance you get. You did it, John. You made a podcast.
Woo! Woo!
I hit the button.
Whether you're
there
fly
it is.
fishing in a stream, getting those ankles wet, or deep in the ocean, casting nets, fish nerds. Fish nerds. Fish nerds. It's a podcast.
Just for the halibut.
Fried in a basket or broiled in a pan. Eat it raw like you're in Siam. Fish nerds. Fish nerds. Fish nerds. It's a podcast.
It is a podcast. John King, the Crappie Hippie. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you, Clay. We'll see you soon.
Gotta run.
Bye-bye. Hey, Fish Nerd Nation, coming at you post-roll. I just got a few of Rosie's dates here. Jeanette's going to read a few of Rosie's public appearance dates here. It's mainly 2 shows. One's at an elementary school here in about a week, and then after the first, she has a big show with the Surfcasters in Narragansett. If you're around either of those places or near any of those places and you want to get some fantastic hand-tied jigs from Rosie, or her, she has all kinds of stuff. She has custom rods. She has all kinds of stuff at her booth. Anyway, either of these shows would be a great place to try out. One will be before Christmas if you want some presents. One's after Christmas. If you didn't get what you wanted, maybe Rosie's got it. Anyway, thanks for hanging on with us. And now here is Jeanette Clifton with Rosie's schedule. So you got any news for me? What's going on with your world? What are you up to?
Well, in a few days, we're going to a craft show in.
We've got on the 14th, we will be in Wakefield or Peacedale, Rhode Island, for the elementary school's vendor fair. That is from 10 to 3. And we will bring some custom rods, bucktail jigs, surf candies, some cinder worms, of course. She can't go anywhere without her famous cinder worms.
Well, you hit that 10 to 3 slot, you're going to be able to get in and look at a bunch of good stuff, including a collaboration between Rosie and Glasswater Angling, because Rosie ties some lead-free jigs, and they are outstanding jigs. Crazy cool paint jobs. Awesome creativity, and fish catching jigs like you wouldn't believe.
And then our biggest show, and one that we love to plug because this is such a great group of people, is January 11th. The Narragansett Surfcasters show is in Narragansett, Rhode Island, at the community center there. And that is a huge show. Tons of great local guys, plug builders, bucktail, jig tires, some great New England suppliers. There's Al Gags, there's 401, there's so many great small businesses come to that one every year, and we just have such a fun time.
Well, that sounds fantastic. So if you're anywhere in the Rhode Island area, it's worth getting in your car, driving on down there. Go to these smaller shows, but mark that January 11th show on your calendar, because I know there's a lot of surf fishers in our listenership, and they're going to have something you need. I guarantee it.
Yes.